I don't hear myself through my headphones. Yes, man. Like, I feel real good about this right now.
Pay attention, because you are now listening to Permission to Speak Freely.
You had your first full week of work?
Yeah, man. First full week. It was good, man. If you guys, I know you heard from the previous episodes of, my being inspector, on the ships, going out there, making sure everything's squared away when it comes to DC damage control. So, yeah, man. So I'm gonna talk about my first week a little bit, man. Like, this is how my week went. So on Monday, I showed up to the ship at 04:30. I know you guys heard me talk about 04:30 last time. So everything was good to go, man. Like, it was good, smooth. The difference from my previous inspector job that I had when I went on there, that I normally go up, do a brief, and do all that stuff. Man, with these guys, we went straight to the ship, straight to doing checks. So that was good, man. The ship I went to was motivated. Sailors came to get us. I stayed busy the entire time on board the ship, which I like. Like, let's go. Time goes by a little bit faster and stuff when you out there, running and doing checks and stuff like that. So big shouts out to the ship, man. They did a fabulous job on making sure we stayed busy and stuff. But, I was on the ship, and matter of fact, you know what? I was on the Bunker Hill. And at first I wasn't going to say what ship I was on. So I was on the Bunker Hill. So if you guys don't know, the Bunker Hill is about to go right back on deployment again, right? So they just came off deployment, like, I think July, somewhere up in there, that time frame. And they finna do their 21 days of being on the ship. So one of the sailors on board the ship, asked me a question. He asked me, how do I do it? How can he do it when he just came off deployment? He been in the Navy a year, and the only thing he know now is going on deployment, which is rough. Not seeing no ports, not doing this, not doing that. I just told him that he got to keep his head up. He had to stay positive. He has to find that one thing that he does that he likes to do to drive himself to get through this. I don't think this is not the norm of the Navy right now. COVID is a big deal right now, so it's not the norm. So that's how you got to look at it. Find that inner you, that's something that you can keep your mind off of going right back to deployment, because I know it's a big deal for sailors. And so I know it's a big deal when it comes to mental health and come to stress and your spouses and man, it's so many things, man. But like we always do, we pull our pants up, we get going, we get it knocked out. So I know that's what they gonna do, but I know it's hard on the sailors.
Yeah, man. Like, one of my young mentees, he's about to be going through a divorce right now. Like, first fight, but you don't have enough. They probably don't have as many wins in their column to like count that against the 1L or the one first fight that they got. So first fight, but you just getting off deployment. All you have now is this fight. Like, y'all don't really have that many good moments. Y'all both active duty sailors, young people or whatever like that. So it's kind of hard when you got two young people always away from each other, and then they going through that first like dispute and it's over. You know what I'm saying? She moved out. He was kind of talking to me about it the other day. And I've seen a whole lot of relationships kind of go to the wayside just because you don't have enough time to make it right.
Yeah.
Some of us have time to make the relationship right, like to get the flowers, to do the surprises, to do the dates. If you got this inspection coming up, you don't have that time. You know what I'm saying? And then somebody could move in on your queen.
Yeah. And you got to think about it, man. One thing about this whole deployment and young sailors is, like, when you're married, like me, I've been married for a long time now, right? So I've built a lot. We have built a lot of stuff, me and my wife have together. When you're that young, you've been married less than a year, and you in the Navy, what have you built?
Yeah, it's nothing.
What are you leaning back? What are you leaning back on?
Yeah,
so it's a big deal in the Navy right now, man. Like, I don't even know the stats on that. I mean, I bet if we looked up the stats on that, I bet it's crazy.
Yeah, you just know what you see, Yeah. And all I ever saw was divorces.
Yeah.
Not saying they overpowered anything else, but I saw a lot of them.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm gonna set the scene. It's the Permission to Speak Freely podcast. I'm Damo.
I'm Damon.
We got Saul here today. We finally got our video up and running, so you can finally watch us on YouTube. If you're looking at us on YouTube, we had 2 episodes not on YouTube, but now we on YouTube, so we up and running, which is a great blessing. So it's Damo, Damon. We got Saul. He behind the scenes, and we also got another a co-anchor. We got a dog with us, right? You want to introduce him to?
Man. Khalili, man, you guys are hearing probably time to time.
Yeah, he just, you know, he a little bit more than a co-anchor. He our director behind the scenes, so he making things happen. So if you ever hear him barking, he's barking orders at us, letting us know how things go.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, you know what it is a pretty cool, man. You know, you guys gonna see us, man. We got the cameras up, man. We got the microphone, man. This shit looks legit right now, man. I think we in the building right now. Yeah, we serious right now, man.
Yeah, we finally up and running. For the people that listen to episode 1 and episode 2, thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening. We finally up and running. Finally on YouTube. We got everything going the way we wanted it to be.
Yeah, man. So I talked about my week a little bit, man. So what's up with yours, man? What you do? What you been up to this week?
Serve, man. Serve. So,
hold up, man. That was last week too, right?
It's every week. So, you know, for the people that don't know what that is, that's a big time inspection. It's like the Super Bowl of all inspections, right? So Board of Inspection and Survey. A couple of guys come out to your ship for like 2 days. But before those 2 days, like 2 years of getting ready for this thing. So I was happy because I had a day off on Thursday, right? I took 24. Yeah, man.
Wow.
I do what you got to do, man.
I feel you.
You know what I'm saying? So I had to take care of some personal stuff. And then on Thursday, I got text message after text message. We had like 4 major like things we had to fix, right? These are electricians. So we had 4 major things we fixed them all. We had like a way ahead for the one that we couldn't fix. Yeah. So on Friday, quarters, you know, we had khaki car. And somebody had like a small thing. I'm like, yeah, it's small, man. You need something wired up. Just let me know, because, you know, me and my guys, we don't got nothing. We good to go. So right after that, one of the senior chiefs, he's like, all right, well, look, if you need something, he's like, if y'all got time, then I got this broke, I got that. I was like, yo, come on, man. Don't do me like that, right? By the end of the day, these dudes bringing an MOV on the ship, like a big valve, right? They bring it down the steps, Liberty Ladder. I got a fuse panel right at the bottom of the steps. They dropped the MOV. It puts a dent into the fuse panel, damn near touching the fuse. So now we got to like emergent repair this fuse panel.
Oh my goodness, man.
You know, we took it up to the captain. The captain like, yeah, it's like 2:00 right now. So people probably leaving ship. So you need to go ahead and get that part right now.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That was it.
And that was, you know, he was like, well, what's the COA? I was like, you know, that's the course of action for the people that don't know what that means. I was like, well, the first COA is going ahead and replacing it. That's also the best COA. I was like, the second COA, here's just go with the first COA. So that was like instant. That was like probably like poetic injustice for me, because like that changed the whole trajectory of our day.
Yeah.
And then we had and our guys was like knocking, you know, when the guys kind of feel like they gonna get off work early, they just start knocking stuff out, coming back. You might see them take a short lunch, and then boom, you know, literally boom, you know, the whole thing.
So if that started around like 1500, so I'm assuming it was dark when you left work?
It's always dark when I leave work. It's always dark. I mean, we felt good we still did the 1800 muster.
Oh my God.
We do 1800 muster every day.
Is that, that's automatic? No matter what you do.
18,
no matter what you do in the day, it's 1800.
18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you mustering at 18, man.
Wow, that's in-serve right there, baby.
But I mean, outside of that, like I said, so I had that Thursday off. My wife's friend surprised her. She came and surprised her, so I was a part of that. That was pretty cool. She used to me getting off after 1800 anyway. Yeah. They had a 1900. They came in at like 19. I went and picked them up. And we just came in the house, boom, surprised her, got it on video. And then they went over to LA. You know, they went over to LA. They took her car. So I got to make a trip up to LA today to get her car back.
Most definitely, man. That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. But how did that 430 day kind of like play out for you? Like, what did you have to do another one, or what did that consist of?
So the first day. So I'm assuming that's me just getting my feet wet here with the team, and the 430 thing was for crews getting in the way. Yeah. So the ship got in the way like maybe 0530, something like that. So we came on board. It's checks you got to do before you get on the way. right? So we got those checks knocked out. It's checks you do while you in seeing anchor, then while you're on the way. So that's the reason why it was 4:30. And speaking of that, on Monday I gotta be there at 4:45. So I guess it's gonna be one of those things that I guess I gotta get used to.
So did you acclimate yourself to like not being with your family anymore for like throughout the day?
No.
Okay, so you still
I still gotta go through that. Speaking, and that's another one of my biggest things of going back to work. Before this, I was at home for 30 days, right, on transfer leave. So I got so used to, watching the kids, what they doing, they work, they school work, and all that stuff. I get all these messages on my phone. If they miss something, anything happen, it comes up on my phone, right?
You got like the Hawkeye for the kids.
Yeah. I mean, cause I gotta stay because they hear like I'm 17, 15, and 12, right? So that's the kids' age. So they sometimes they can do what they want to do. So I have to make sure I zoom in. I know. So if they miss something, they get that text.
Is this like an iron fist kind of like you ruling by iron fist with the school situation?
Well, I just want them to know, and I talk to them all the time about.
You want them to know you there?
Yeah, and I see you, man. And when it comes to school, it's not an option. You know what I mean? It's no option. So if you got an assignment to do, you don't have the option to do that assignment or not to do that. To do it or not to do it, you have to do it.
So they all going to school. All of them are going to school distance-based learning?
Yes.
How you like it?
I don't like it. I wish they was in school. The reason why I wish they was in school because they can reach out, they can talk to the teacher right there. Mm-hmm. Like right here, no crap, man. I feel like if they didn't do anything, I wouldn't know as a parent unless the teacher hit me up and say, "Hey, your son didn't come to school today in attendance." Mm-hmm. I wouldn't know that, right? Until they reach out to me, or if they don't do an assignment. The only thing I know is grade. I see the grades, right, and I see what they make on their score and all that stuff. So when I don't see that stuff, it kind of is alarming to me. Because I know if they in school, I know you're there. I know where you at. I know what you're doing. If they ain't there, you can tell, man. So it's a big deal. I wish they was in school. They had this thing coming out, I think in January, that they supposed to start. They was gonna go back and start doing 2 days in school, and then the rest of the week out. But for Riverside, they just did a lot more. Went backwards. So I don't know what they call it, the red zone, orange zone, or whatever, where they didn't close a lot of things down again. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen for Corona. So I don't know what's going to happen in January now. I don't know if they're going to start school or not because they shut a lot of stuff back down.
So do it seem like, I know we had to rush into like this whole distance-based learning thing in schools because of Corona, but does it from just off your experience as a parent, does it look like it might have a potentially good future?
No.
Damn.
I don't because this is new for everybody. Yeah. Like the teachers themselves, this is their first time doing it. They don't know what to expect. The kids don't know what to expect. So but the first 9 weeks are done. Mm-hmm. So as it go, I'm assuming they're gonna get better at it. They're gonna do things different. It's gonna be a lot of stuff that's happening that they're gonna get better every 9 weeks. So I guarantee you the next 9 weeks will be better than the last 9 weeks. So they're gonna get better. But right now, I feel like it was some problems in the beginning. Even the system they was using was giving us some issues in the beginning, but they working all the kinks out. So it'll get better.
Yeah, so I guess going back to work kind of got you off patrol a little bit,
Yeah, got me off patrol. I know the kids are happy.
Yeah, they probably are.
I know they happy about it because I sure be on them grades, man.
Okay, so you off patrol, you back at work. So what was Tuesday through Friday? What was that? Just being in the office?
Yeah. So that's what it is. You in the office, catching up on things. They kind of like check their emails all day. I don't have email. I don't have any of that stuff. So I pretty much haven't been doing anything but just sitting down. Yeah. I had like a little check-in stuff I've been doing, getting all my paperwork. So I've been doing a lot of traveling. So all my travel paperwork, getting that good to go, my medical, dental, all that stuff. So I've been kind of doing like a little check-in thing.
So the last time we talked, you ain't had your eval, right?
Yeah.
You got it now?
Yeah, I got my eval, man. Nice. Big shouts out to Bernie, man. Big shouts out to the CO. Big shouts out to everybody who's involved, man. I got the eval. It was pretty good, man. I kind of liked it. Was good. It was wordy. Mm-hmm. I like the high sound, man. So it was a pretty good eval.
The last time I talked, we're going to get a little bit more in the evals a little bit later, right? The last time we talked, I had a guy leaving my EM2 my second class. He out of here now. He got out of here like a hour after he walked off the ship. He caught a flight. He went home. You know what I'm saying? I said he was trying to get out of here. You know, no questions asked. So big shout out to him, man. Daniel Treasure. Shout out to him. Good luck in the future with whatever you got going on. So another thing that I'm in the middle of is trying to buy a house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's a new experience for me and my wife. You know, this will be our first time buying a house. We are using the VA loan, stuff like that. And it's going to be in the DC area. But the market is sick right now. First of all, it's right before the election. We got COVID, and what Corona did was it got a lot of people, you know, working from home now.
Yeah.
So with the people working from home, they don't gotta like work in the area of like the business anymore. They could kind of get a house somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people that might have been working in DC and kind of living there in some apartment or something, now they could go out on the outskirts of DC in one of these cities and get a nice house. So that's what we dealing with, like a lot of pressure to buy a house, you know. So the sellers are still kind of having the upper hand in that market. Yeah. So we got like five people trying to build on this house that we trying to bid that just opened up like 3 days ago. And my wife, she going crazy right now.
First house? The first house?
Yeah, this would be my first house.
Nice.
Yeah, so my wife going kind of crazy right now. Just like Jerry Maguire, like trying to close this deal kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's something. It's kind of frustrating for me because I like everything kind of easy. If it was like an Uber to buy houses, I just go ahead and just click on a house and like they take care of it. But it is what it is.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, one thing about the housing market and all that stuff, I know your wife, you know, going crazy about getting a house bought and all that stuff, but just remember, money talking in the housing market.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can outbid people, you can do different things like that, but you guys get the house, man. I'm pretty confident that you guys get the house, especially if she want it. I know how you do, man. If she want that house, you gonna get it for her, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she want it. I'm kind of like it's making her too happy. You know what I'm saying?
Not too happy.
Yeah, I love to make my wife happy, but then I'm also kind of like the Scrooge. You know, I like to see her little moments of defeat. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like her little moments of defeat, man. So hopefully it does work out and we do get the house. You know what I'm saying? But if we don't, then it's not for us. We could go ahead and move on to something else.
Yeah, man. That's good. Hey, that's good news, man. Like, and being ahead of the game too, man. A lot of times people wait till the last minute to try to do something. You guys way ahead of the game. Get this house bought, man. That's a blessing too, man. The blessings you can even be talking to, you know, housing marketers and doing the things you guys doing, man. So it's a blessing, man. So good luck to you guys, man. I'm sure you guys will get it though.
Yeah, because so when we came in, you know, when I came in, I was young, real dumb. You know, you do stuff, you kind of mess your credit up a little bit. I don't know if you ever had those days where you went and got gas for your car. You wasn't married when you came in, was you?
Not right away. I got married quickly though, but not right away.
Yeah, so you always had like responsibility.
Yeah.
It was times I didn't. So it was times that, you know, I would use the Navy Fed card like right before the payday. Gas up the car. It's only like $1 on it, but I gas up the car, fill up the tank to like $40.
Yeah, I do the same thing, man.
You used to do that?
Yeah, man. I did that, but I did a lot worse than that though, man. So yeah.
Like what?
No doubt, man. When it comes to financial and credit, I don't even get into all that. But I am most definitely used to be wilding when it comes to, I can give you some examples of wilding. It's like, so I came in, got me a little 95 Escort, man.
Yeah.
Little 95 Escort. That thing was green. It had some little rims on it. So I went out, put these little 12s in the back. So all this stuff that I'm naming, 12s in the back, the rims on it, and nice little paint job on it and stuff. I had to get a loan for. Right. So that's right there alone is like three different loans I had to pay back at once.
Okay. Oh, so everything you had to get a loan for. You had to get a loan for the rims. You had to get a loan for the 12.
For everything, and it was all at different places.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I'm already creating all this bad stuff, man. Then not growing up in Mississippi, we ain't talking about percentages. We ain't talking about how much APR and all this stuff. So I'm getting charged. I'm getting crazy charges on this stuff. I'm paying I'm paying like $2,000-$3,000 on $1,000, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, They was killing me, man. But hey, so as I grew up, though, I
So
learned.
was you riding around like my man off Men's Society when he got the 5.0? Was you riding?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was me.
pull up
man.
at the fast food drive-in or whatever.
Yeah, always live. It's called living out your means, man. Like you're living, and you can't afford it, man. And we all do that. We're trying to be something that we're not, and things like that. Like that's kind of how I grew up in the beginning, man. I was doing stuff that I know I couldn't afford, but I was still doing it. So
yeah, a lot of people do that.
Yeah,
because we always talk about it. We talked about it the last couple of times we talked, but you come from a place where like. It's a couple different routes. Sometimes it's sports. Sometimes it might be like some music, some type of way you making music. People used to do back then. People used to do like party planning and stuff like that. So you get like just these single outputs or whatever. You never really see like, all right, this might be the way I need to manage my money and stuff like that. And then you base your mentorship in the people that you kind of learn from the people that you've always known.
Yeah.
So when you get in the Navy, you really, I mean, when I first got in, I really didn't know how to angle my perspective when it came to picking a mentor. So when it came to like choosing the right mentor, I didn't know how to angle my perspective. So when you first came in, right? Like, did you have when did you actually get a mentor, somebody that you would have considered your mentor?
Man, I tell you, I looked up to a lot of people, man, but I necessarily didn't have a mentor until I got a little bit more senior in the Navy, right? I never say for example, when I was E3, 4, I didn't have a first class at the time that I looked. Now I had some squared away first classes. I seen a lot of stuff going on, but I didn't have that one guy go through and talk one-on-one with and things like that. I didn't have that growing up. But the truth about it is, man, I didn't need that either.
Yeah.
When I came in the Navy, to go and get it. And when I came to the Navy, also, I felt like it was real easy in the Navy. All I gotta do is just go a little bit harder than everybody else.
Yeah, that's one of the
that was my whole mindset. So I really didn't need nobody to go and say, okay, hey, you need to do this a certain way, you need to do that a certain way. Since I came in, I always been that go-getter type guy, and I always went and got it. So I didn't never need that. But as I got more senior in the Navy, I had some great mentors. I had some people I can look up to. It ain't necessarily had to be with talks either, though. It has to be how they present themselves, how they deliver information, how they carry themselves. It was so many ways. I didn't just look at them to, have a one-on-one with me and let's talk about this. No, it was just the way they carried themselves, the way they stood up in front of the division and put out information, how people got behind them when it was time to go. So I had a couple of them, man. I had a guy that just made Master Chief right now, Paul Green. Man,
damn, congrats to Paul Green, man.
Yeah, man, just put on Master Chief, man. Big deal, man. Big deal. Especially in our rate, it's a big deal. And I mostly me and him, we went. A lot of times we went back and forth on certain things.
Yeah.
Because we was both alpha guys. But when it comes from a knowledge standpoint, that's where he mentored me. This guy knew his stuff, and I can learn from that.
So what was he then? What was he?
He was a chief.
Okay.
And when I can go and I can learn something from somebody, that's what I like, man. I like being in situations where I can learn from somebody. If I can,
was that rate specific?
Rate specific.
Okay.
Rate specific. The guy knew his stuff, and in our profession, damage control, sometimes it's between life and death on what you know and don't know. You can put somebody in a bad position to go do a certain thing, and it might be the wrong thing. It can kill them, or it can break some equipment. So this guy knew everything. He knew his stuff, man. So good big shots out to Paul Green. Also, I had Jay Montanero, man. We met at ATG. We was both chiefs at the time, man, and we was both chiefs. Normally, you ain't gonna look at a chief and be like, oh, this guy's my mentor. But time he got to the command, I was there a couple months before he got there. The way he carried himself, he made Senior Chief right after that. But and he's also a CMC now, Master Chief also.
Congrats, Jay.
Yeah, congrats,
man.
And so yeah, man, the way he carried himself, how he wouldn't. He'll get in the chief match. You can tell when somebody say leaders of leaders, man. You know what I mean? Like this guy go in there, he don't care who's in there, and he's gonna lead them, and he's gonna Like if you need a volunteer to take care of something, that was him.
Yeah.
You know, they knew it was going to be him ahead of time. So it wasn't so I looked up at that stuff. And the other guy I want to throw a shout out to is Jeremy Hartley, man. Like this guy right here, man, like we clicked right away. We was on the Nimitz together, and I was in first class, and he was a chief. And time I got to the command, I made chief right after that. And we was up in the office, man. We just had this different vibe, man. And he was just like good at what he did, man. He was always on top of it. Like when it came to admin, it came to anything, he always, you know, had it. He always knew what was going on, right? Yeah. Every time he know what was going on. So big shouts out to Jeremy. He been a CMC, he been a Master Chief for a minute now. You know, I think he about to do his second tour, I think, of being a CMC. So big shouts out to Jeremy. What's good, man?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, and mentors are big in the military period though. You know, you have to have that lean, especially now. Like with the sailors that's coming into the Navy now, and I remember you brought this up before. Sometimes that's all they got. They don't have nobody to call back and lean on, or call back and talk to, or something like that. So having those guys that they can look up to, and them having those guys that they can take and do a one-on-one with, or them guys they can look up to and say, man, that guy squared away right there. I want to be like that. It's a big deal in the Navy. But on the flip side, it's one of those programs that we didn't throw it away.
Yeah, so you talk about the program on paper, huh? On paper,
yeah. So on the paper program, we don't even talk about it that much anymore, man. Like it's a program there, but when can you tell me the last time we even knew who the freaking mentor coordinator is? And nobody even know. Actually, you can go on your ship right now and go at my command and ask who's a coordinator, and they probably don't have a clue.
Yeah, because I mean, it always seemed like we pushed the priority to just different things that got to do with production and work and management, and we kind of forget about the people aspect.
Side of it. Yeah, man.
Yep. And a lot of people need mentors, and that could be some of the source of some of the degradation of just how much people care. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times you sit down with your mentor cares, you know, and it could inspire you to care as well. And I know I had a few good ones. You know, I came rough around the edges. I came in from Philly. I lived in Florida for a while. I joined in Florida, but I was a little rough. But I had 2 third classes, and I probably wouldn't have considered them my mentors then. But as I look back, you know, I would consider them my mentors now. But I was trying to compete. I was trying to, you know, and I was new in the game, so I ain't really know a lick of electrical work except for what I was doing before I joined. But so I'm like pulling up the non-skid strips, man, trying to get the non-skid strips up faster than them. You know what I'm saying? They out pulling non-skid strips. I'm pulling non-skid strips. They like, I got my second class. Yo, why am I fireman pulling non-skid strips faster than y'all? I'm on go. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to compete. Yeah. So, but they were the ones who like, they just reinforced things like, hey man, if you do this, you could get this. If you do this, you could get this. I remember I'll never forget her name. Megan Staples. I was brand new to the ship. She got her ESWAS as a fireman, like a seaman. She was like a GMSN. And I remember like hearing my third class kind of say like, dang. And this wasn't when it was like just everybody's getting it. You know what I'm saying? So I remember my third class like, dang, she got an ESWAS as a seaman, man. She squared away. I'm like, like I want them to say that about me. You know what I'm saying? So, I pushed, but even at that time, my chief was like every day, hey, what's up with the ESWAS pin, man? And it started to get like, kind of like, I was tired of him saying it. Like, yo, what's up with that ESWAS pin? Yeah. What's up with that ESWAS pin, man? So I went ahead and I got it. I remember like I didn't do good on the first test. I took the first test and I didn't do good on it. And my second class, my EM2 had to see the test. He was like, hey man, like I saw that test, man. You know, and I'm like, yeah, I would do it again. You know, I did it again. And you know, it's ESWAT, so everybody got like the cheat sheet, you know, situation going on. So I got it again. And they like, yeah, I got the cheat sheet, I got the cheat sheet. I was like, no, I'm gonna push it. So I pushed my own self through it without using the cheat sheet that they had. And I got a 98. Or whatever, right?
Big time.
And then we did the ESWAS board, and this ain't for the podcast. This ain't It was me and my boy Gamage, a CS3, I think at the time. We both were E4. We were either both E3s or E4s. We did the Eastwise board. It was like a 20-minute. It was like a 20-minute board. And this one, they were like 3 hours. This was the first class, 20 minutes. There's like, oh, y'all know everything. Y'all know everything. So we went to the Chiefs, done. But if it wasn't for those mentors I had, the 2/3, like always, oh man, you good. So after the Eastwise, they like, man, you got your Eastwise. You gonna be the Blue Jacket of the year. You gotta be. Like, I mean, what else? Like, how else can they compete? Like, and they were doing this like naturally. Like, this wasn't something that they was thinking about doing or they read a book. They're like, how else can anybody compete? And boom, it was it. It was literally Blue Jacket of the year. And then they're like, oh, you doing this? You might be, then they left. When they left, I was like, damn, like, how do I, keep going?
Yeah.
And that's when I started mentoring other sailors kind of like the same way, but I also had a GSC 1 who went and made officer. So even as a mentor, that's another kind of thing that it reinforced you to continue to excel too, because you got to do good too.
Yeah.
Especially, people watching you can't, it's certain things you can't, like, you ever had a moment when like your mentor disappointed you or somebody that you thought was squared away disappointed you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What'd you think about it?
So especially, and that's one thing you learn real quick too, man, is that you have these, the Navy mentors.
Yeah.
And then you have these, your outside the Navy mentors. I feel like sometimes you got to have both.
Yeah.
Because
so Bill, you about to bring up Bill Cosby?
No, I'm not gonna bring up Bill Cosby, man. I'm not bringing up the Jello man. But yeah, so I had this mentor before. I ain't gonna say he was a mentor like me. We talked all the time, but it's somebody that you look up to, right? And he got caught up. He got caught up messing with a junior sailor.
Oh man!
And got busted down to a first class. And this ain't a guy that I talk to and like on a one-on-one basis. But when it hit home like that, you like, man, this guy is squared away. This guy was on his way to Master Chief.
Yeah.
He was a chief at the time, but you knew he was young. This guy was on his way. And then that stuff happened to him. Now his whole career is like done.
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of one of those things, man. But even me, look from outside looking in, I learned from that, man.
Yeah.
Like I learned from his mistakes, and but that's what you got to do, man. You got to learn. You're gonna see a lot of stuff in the Navy, and you got to take all that stuff and you got to learn from it, man.
And it ain't easy, like being a mentor, like a role model for somebody. I remember when I was back when I was a third, I want to say, no, I was a second, and I was struggling with my weight. And I remember every PRT, so every time I run a PRT, I got to go to the bathroom first, right? And it ain't just a regular kind of got to go to the bathroom. Like, I got to take a shit. Like, every time I run a PRT, I ate something the night before, and I got to take this just like, like poop, right? So I go to this PRT. I'm still at my first command. I go to a PRT. Oh, we do everything we got to do before the run. I already know I'm a struggle. I know I'm a struggle on a run already. Like, I'm like 230. I know I'm a probably struggle on a run, but I still had to go to the bathroom. So they're like, oh, yo, get 10 minutes to go to the bathroom. So I run over, I go to the bathroom, and I'm thinking like 2 minutes pass, man. So I go to the bathroom, I squeeze, I take my shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like 6 minutes later, I come out the bathroom.
6 minutes?
I feel like it's 6 minutes. I feel like it was like a 6 minute shit. You know what I'm saying? Like this, you go through the push ups, you go through the curl ups, you go through the weight. Like, it's like 6 minutes. It's like six, just kind of, and that's like the push ups and the curl ups. That's like grinding it down. You know what I'm saying? So it's ready to come out. So I come out the bathroom and I'm like, all right, I got time. I'm gonna run on the track, and they running already. They running the PFA already, right? Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, they running. I'm like, yo, this was not 10 minutes. So what did I do, man? I jumped in, man. I jumped on the track.
Without starting or nothing?
Nah, yeah, I ain't start, man. I just jumped on the track.
Oh, my
Yeah, I just jumped on. So I jumped on and I just started running, man. You know what I'm saying? And at this point, I'm like, junior sailor of the year. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man. So I jump on, I run around the track. And then I do it was like the track. I think it probably was like a half mile lap. It was in Norfolk, so whatever that track is. Yeah. But I know that I didn't do one of the laps, right? So I jump on. I skip a lap. I finished like around the same time as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm everything good. You know, I'm running. You know, they tell me the number 11:35. Like 11:35. You go tell a dude, hey, 11:35. Out of breath. I'm exhausted after those laps. So I knew I ain't have another one. I knew like if I'd have hit another one, it'd have been. So the PFA coordinator at the time, he came up to me. He was like, hey, this like a week later, he's like, I got to talk to you about something. He too. So he cut with his shot. But like, what's going on? He's Senior Chief Sanchez, I want to say. He's like, this is an integrity question. I was like, oh, what we got, man? He was like, yeah, you know, I'm getting word that you didn't run your whole PFA. I was like, nah, you know, I finished it. I ran the whole thing. He was like, nah, I'm getting word that you kind of just jumped in, you know, on the middle. And I knew who told him, and the person that told him had like a little personal issue too. But you know, I wasn't gonna go back and forth there. So he was like, "What you gonna do?" I'm like, "I ran my whole PFA." You know, he was like, "No, you didn't, man." He was like, "So what you gonna do?" So he gave me an option to just run it again.
Yeah.
Or whatever. He's like, you gotta run it. And it was like in 2 days. It was like, so this was like Thursday. He's like, you gotta run it again Saturday. I'm like, why, you know, why can't I do it Friday or Monday? He was like, you wasted my time. Now we gonna waste yours.
Man,
you know what
that's what I'm talking about. I like this. I like this guy already. I like that.
So my mentor was a CFL. You know, he was like an ACFL. He was a GSE 1. And he came up to me. He was like, hey, man, did you cheat the PRT, man? I was like, nah. You know, he was like, I know you did. You know, he was like, I know you cheated, man. He was like, it just don't make sense. He was like, you probably was going to struggle on the run anyway. Like, he was just being honest. He was like, there's no way you finished that thing at like 11:34. It's like, there's no way. You probably was going to struggle. You know, I'm like, all right, yeah, you know, I did cheat. You know what I'm saying? He was like, all right, well, take your lesson, you know, take your punishment, do what you got to do, get back up there, sell of the year, get back up there, everybody, you know, take a bump and just run that thing and or whatever. And that was like, for him being he was my legit like mentor, like outside of the mentorship program and on paper in the mentorship program. And then he happened to be the CFL. And I'm sure he vouched for me some behind the scenes way that I didn't, because nothing went on paper. Nothing went on paper for that incident.
And one thing is about the way that happened. I mean, I know you came out and, you know, said you did cheat or whatever, but that's hard to prove anyway. So I think when he came down there the first time, he was probably trying to look in your face.
Yeah, he wanted to know.
You know, to try to prove the fact that I know you did this, and so
somebody saw it. Like I knew, you know, after you find out, you know, I started going around on my detective work. Yo, who said it? So I found out who said it, and I knew they had. Yeah, it's a ship, so everybody got some kind of like dirt, and they had some real deep rooted dirt. And I'm like, man, I'm just gonna go ahead and run it again, because I know I cheated, and this could be a whole lot worse. Yeah. So that was a good way for, and then later on, some of those people even like things happened to them, like you know, some real bad stuff kind of happened to them. The Navy, you know, some Navy stuff, people wasn't following the right regulations. Not my mentor, not the GSE 1. He's still a successful, you know, guy, and he was probably my first real deal kind of guy that I really like looked at him. He had a second class that was really a real good inspiration too. But just learning from the 2/3 him. I had an EM2 that kind of, he was the, you know, when you first join, you kind of off put, you don't talk to nobody. You just kind of like trying to figure it all out, little chip on your shoulder. And that's how I was quiet, but my EM2, I stood duty with him. So I had to learn from him. So he was the one who tapped into like, I like movies, you know, so that's how the conversations would start. So he would start conversations with me like, about something we might have debated about when it was just me and him, and I'm comfortable with him already. So me and him might be debating about a movie or something, and he might start up the debate when the other guys was around. So, you know, you start the debate, I'm going in, you know, so we debating about movies, like how trash Will Smith is and stuff like that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Will Smith? Top 3 in my book, man. I can't let you go on Will like that, man.
Yeah, like really, really like horrible, disgusting actor, man.
We talk about this all the time.
Some of the worst movie choices in the last decade, man, goes to Will. Top 3. So we debate, you know, so he would bring me in on that, man. It's just always good to have a good mentor, a good person that's going to kind of put you on the right path. And still to this day, he's still a good mentor. So I had a few in my first enlistment.
So I got a question for you though. So from you coming in, from when I came in, what do you think about now for sailors picking their mentors? Like and I'm gonna give you an example why I bring this up. Like, what do you think about it? Because I see sailors now just trying to pick somebody who they cool with. You know what I mean? I'm cool with this guy, so let me he's gonna be my mentor because I'm cool with him.
I mean, on both sides of the coin, it's a choice. You know what I'm saying? It's a collective decision between both of them, but you gotta be cognizant of, like, when you take a chance to, like, when you take that chance to pick your mentor, and then you gotta be cognizant of when you get picked to be a mentor and that responsibility that's entailed in that. So the first, I don't know if you like our mentor conversation.
Yeah, I don't
or
know
not,
if he like it or not. And now he's getting crazy. But
the first part is that your mentor should be, you got to do, like, in my opinion, you got to do a mentor test. You got to give your mentor some, like, something that they need to kind of correspond with, like a critical point that you're not going to accept. Yeah. You know, in my opinion, like, it can't always be roses with your mentor. So you like, so that's like me, for instance. Now, if I'm testing, like, I'm like at a point now where I want to test my mentors. I might, like, give a scenario that I know I'm in the wrong about. Like,
just see what they say.
Yeah, I did this, boom, boom, boom. And if your response is, well, it is what it is, that captain, that department head, whatever, is like this, then that's an issue to me, or whatever. That's a real issue to me if all you gonna do is agree with everything that I say. I'm like, hey, I was coming from a party, me and my wife, I'm drunk driving, we had the kid with us, and the dude, and if they trying to justify that, that's a problem. And then it's the same thing with if you choose to be a mentor. You got to understand, it's not really about being a friend. It's about being the best thing that a person need at a specific point of time.
Yeah. And that's what I see, man. I see a whole lot of friendship in the mentoring world instead of somebody that's actually looking out for your best interest. You know what I mean? It's not about that. It's not about, well, it's okay. Yeah. No, if you do something that's messed up, it's me as your mentor to tell you that's jacked up, man. That's not the right way to do business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And back when I came in, you tied yourself to the mentor. You know what I mean? Meaning, like, if that mentor, I remember sailors going to DRB and your mentor had to be there with them.
Yeah, it ain't, and that's not the case at all.
Not the case at all no more, man. Like, when you had your meetings with your mentees and all that stuff, your proteges, whatever they call them these days, man. So none of that stuff happens now, man. So for you guys that's out there, you a mentor to these young sailors out there, keep that in mind. It's not all of roses all the time. You can't, be the yes person to them all the time. You have to sometimes tell them the hard truth. And that truth may hurt, but they know at the end of the day, if they want you to be their mentor, that should be what they want you to do.
Yeah.
Is that.
So what you think about the in-rate mentor? Like, you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, for the in rate, I don't necessarily like it, right? Because if it's in rate, I take that back. If it's in rate and it's outside of your command, yes, because I'm sure they could teach you something. If they senior to you, I'm sure they can teach you something. But I feel like if they part of the command, I think it's a little bit different because you're their boss. Yeah, you may be in charge of them or something. So I think it's a little bit different. But outside of the ship, outside of your command, it could be good for you because that's your rate, and they kind of can understand you a little bit better when it comes to what you're talking about. And then sometimes it gets a little bit deeper than that once you start talking to, and once you build that relationship, you could talk about more than just your job. But it could be okay. I mean, but I most definitely not the same command though. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, the way I look at it for the same command is you should be mentoring these guys anyway. If I'm your chief, if I'm your first class, your second class, whatever, I should already be your mentor. It shouldn't have to be
in writing.
Yeah, this kind of like thing that we got forced or whatever like that. I'm already your mentor. If I'm not your mentor as your chief, then I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah, well, I can agree with that too. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense, man.
So let's talk a little bit more about mentors. Right now in your career right now, do you have a mentor right now?
I will say I don't necessarily have a mentor that I call for guidance anymore. You know what I mean? I may send some information out to somebody, say, hey, take a look at this. Or I may say, hey, what's going on with this? What you think about that?
Yeah.
But it necessarily don't have to be a person either, though, man. When it comes to mentor, man, it's a lot of different things you can do. You can be going on stuff and online and looking at things. You could have videos. You can have books. You can have all these stuff that can mentor you to get to where you're trying to go. So that's kind of how I look at it. I don't necessarily, because the thing about it is, man, like where you trying to go and where you trying to get to. When you become where I am in the Navy, it's a little bit different now.
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, and so it'll change depending on what you want to do too, right? Because if you starting to be at the bottom part of your career and what you want to do now is transition out, it might be somebody already out or somebody that's doing some stuff as far as business stuff like outside of the Navy that you kind of want to look at, or the military in general that you kind of want to look at and kind of base like your steps after that person, right?
Yep. If
you're a chief, it might be a senior chief or master chief that you see, hey, I kind of want to do my thing, this way.
Yeah.
It's still a lot of people. It's still some of the same people that I looked up to before. I still look up to now. It's 'cause when you get older, it's kind of hard to be impressionable just on like just meeting somebody, but it's still anybody that's ranked above me, I look at,
Yeah.
and I get good stuff from them. I get bad stuff from them, but I do take a look at them.
Yeah,
like
most definitely. And I'm kind of like that too when it comes to that stuff. I mean, I most definitely have some people that's in my career that I look at and still see what they doing and all this type of stuff. But I may not even talk to them on a daily basis or even a weekly basis, but I do look at them also, see what they doing, see what they up to. But yeah, man, it's you have to have that though, man. You have to have that in your life because it's a drive too for you though. You want to. I even have people I can look at that's maybe a chief.
Yeah.
I can look at it and be like, man, that guy, he's doing things the right way.
It's crazy because you mentioned having a chief that was messing with a junior sailor a while ago. So I had a chief on my shore duty command. He came in, he was a BMC, so he was hardcore. You know what I'm saying? Real hardcore. He's like, I think I met him in a parking lot. He like, hey, I'm gonna tell you straight up. If whatever these guys got going on, I'm like, yo, this chief hard, yo. He's like hardcore, man. So I didn't know that he had just made chief. Like, he was like just kind of went through the season. So I'm like, damn, this chief coming in like he about to, hit hard. Something happened. They wound up, him and his senior chief wound up having sex with a junior sailor in her barracks room. Both of them. He wasn't even getting hit for that. He was good to go. He was in the clear. But something happened, different. The senior chief was denying it. So the female sailor, she kind of came clean about the whole story. And when she came clean about the whole story, his name wound up being in it. You know what I'm saying? So, so while everything was happening, he still was walking around hardcore until his name got in it. Man, don't you know they busted him down to a first? Like he was a first class. He was on base. Like he was still on base. So they moved him from like where we were to like another part of base. He was in admin. So you go to admin and you see him. I remember like I went to admin, man, and one time and he was like, man, like you act like you don't know me no more, man.
I know you.
And I didn't even do that. I wasn't even acting like I know him. Like it was like my first time going to admin. He's like, "What's up, man?" And I'm like, and I'm just thinking like, yo, this dude was super hardcore when he came, man.
He went
like,
hardcore when he met me.
Nah, like you came at me real hard, like the first day, man. Now you a first class again, my man. Like you going to the FCPOA later?
Oh, man.
Hey, if you got busted down from a chief, like if you got busted down from a chief to a first, would you go to FCPOA?
I ain't gonna make it, man. FCPOA, man. I ain't gonna make it, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, would you still try to get to the CPOA? Hang out? You be hanging out the door?
Oh man, I'm done, man. I don't know. That's crazy though. I guess when you look at it, man, like the way you said it, man, I guess it have to depend on how long I've been in, man. I guess if I was already over 20, I'm done.
I ain't hitting the FCPOA again.
No, I'm not going to FCPOA. But think about it, if I was made chief and I'm in 13 years. You know what I mean? I can rebound. You know what I mean? I can rebound.
You could rebound. You could be a chief again, but you
after a year or two though, I'm not going to FCPO for a minute though.
No, it got to be a different.
Probably
different command.
Yeah, you can't different command. Yeah, I agree. Different command.
You can't go back in that command.
Yeah,
you know
most definitely different command.
You and that Jake, like the Chiefs, man. They pieces of shit, man.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Like, nah, you can't do that.
I know him too.
Yeah.
I know him.
I've been in there. I've been in those walls, man. I've been in those hollowed halls, man.
Yeah, man. You know, being the president of that thing, man. You was already chief.
Leverage that. You leverage. I know what it takes. You know? You know what it takes to get in there. You know what it takes to get out that motherfucker. So he was a good dude. I don't know what happened to him. I think he wound up just riding it out and getting out of that.
Yeah.
But what about you make chief and then you go up for you make chief get busted down and then you go up for seller of the year, you make chief again.
Yeah, man, that's
it's harder now though. It's like it takes time to rebound like that off of a NJP, right?
Yeah, it does, but I mean you almost like I think I don't know how long it exactly is, but you be right back in the fight pretty quick though.
Yeah,
taking the exam again and doing things like that. I know it's a little bit of time between, I think though, but
yeah, I know some people that just feel like, hey, I'm just kind of on like limbo time until I'm eligible again, like after like 4 years or something.
Yeah, and people know too. I guess the thing about it is because people know that they look at your record for 5 years.
Yeah.
So automatically people kind of let off the gas because they know, hey, I'm not even getting looked at hardcore.
Like, yo, it's a wrap
until 5 years.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But
there's a lot of good sellers in that position though.
Yeah.
Would like, you know how like different things like seller of the year, sometimes it could be a lot of reasons outside of just pure performance or pure capability that somebody would get it. Would you even recommend like giving it to a guy that might be in his second year of a NJP kind of recovery process, seller of the year? Yeah,
because I feel like that's sale of the year is within what they did within that year. So if they outside of that year, before, no. But if all that's cleared up within that year, I will consider it.
So you feel like if you sell of the year, you sell of the year.
You sell of the year. But now, when I say that, like that's a whole 4 quarters though.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't, and it's my personal opinion, I will not consider them if they within that quarter. If within that year, I wouldn't consider them at all for the year.
So what about sell of the year for consecutive years? I mean, we've seen that a few times too. Would you think about that?
If they were sale of the year for consecutive years?
Yeah, not nothing to do with we off the kind of NJP thing.
Okay.
But if you give somebody sale of the year 1 year and then you give them sale of the year the next year.
Oh yeah. If they still a first class, they still performing at a high level.
Yeah.
Or first class or say whoever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that, man. Like if you performing, man, and they deserving of it,
yeah,
why not, man? Why not? And speaking of that, man, that's why I'm kind of okay with this new sale of the year thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because you got people out there performing at a high level and you can't do but 4.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's
4 people that's up for it. So now I know a lot of you guys already know out there. Now it's 18.
Yeah.
Right. With this new instruction came out, it's 18. So, man, I think that's a big deal, man. I think now, hopefully, we see a higher level across the board from everybody. Like, man, you giving me something to go at now, man. You giving me something because sometimes you got 4, right? Only got 4 people, so you like, man.
Yeah, and can you get into the 4? Like what happens? Like what happens to the 4?
So they go up. So I don't know where they go to and how they, but I do know
ultimately what happens?
Ultimately, they become chiefs.
Yeah, meritoriously advance to chief.
So, but you only got 4 that happens to, right? So you got, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, so you guys can check me on this. You got 1 from Pacific, 1 from Atlantic. You got 1 from this. I want to say the sub side, and then you got 1 from reserve or something like that. I think, right? And I could be wrong. I think those are 4 that you used to have.
Yeah.
To do so, but now they coming from, like, they got the type commander, right? Is now giving these out. So you got 18. So I'm assuming it's maybe, shoot, I think it's like, but I don't want to get into this stuff. I'm not all sold in.
Yeah, but it probably evens the playing field geographically for these guys. These guys and these women. Like, it probably evens the playing field a lot now. It's not just 4. You're not like just shit out of luck. You know what I'm saying? Especially when some of them deserve to be in there. Yeah. There's some first classes right now operating on that level that they deserve to go through initiation and deserve to, come into the Chiefs mess. And they would probably contribute to the Chiefs mess.
And then on top of that, man, like when you look at it, in the terms of what these sailors are doing, and like you said, they at that level of a chief level, they're now taking this Sailor of the Year and they making them chiefs off of our precepts.
Yeah.
Right? On the things that we should be, the wickets that we should be hitting. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like these guys are ready. If they get selected by these type commanders, you really got a good feeling that they are deserving because of what they're looking at now. They're looking at our precepts to make those guys chiefs. So, that's a big deal, man.
Yeah, so if I'm a first class and I'm, just wondering, like, what would even get me that kind of consideration? What's some suggestions you got for, like, somebody in that position?
Well, at first, it starts off at your command, right? So first off, you got to own up. You got to go up and you got to win at your own command first before you even think about stuff like that. And you're gonna have people at your command that's gonna tell you on things that you can do and can't do to make you successful. But what I tell young sailors, stay hungry, right? Stay hungry. Keep grinding wherever you at, because they got these things for shore duty. You got them from at sea, wherever you at. Never settle, man. If you go on to the next qual, if it's a qualification, on to the next qual. If it's a collateral, mix it up. Be great at it. Be the best that you can be at that collateral, and have an impact. Being a first class and having an impact on board a ship, man, that's what you need. You need to have an impact. It don't matter what it is and what you're doing. Impact somebody.
Yeah, like we need to know you're here. Like you need to be standing out. Like, and not forced. My biggest thing is this. Like, I don't think you should be able to quantify it. This is my opinion. I don't want to quantify what it takes to, be Sailor of the Year or to get into the Chiefs mess. But I do want to say to care about what you do in every facet of it, right? Because when you start getting to that point where all you're doing is kind of filling in wickets, right? Because we see people doing that. Like, hey, well, I got to do this. I got to do my PPME. I got to do my JPME. I got to get a MOVSM. I got to do that. I got to do that. And it's like the moment that you don't make it that, first year, or you don't make it that second year, that disappointment ensues. So then you get disappointed. And now it's like some people lose hope after that. They give up, and you can never, I remember that, like, my first actual year up, I was coming off shore duty, a number 1 EP on shore duty. And I just knew I was going to make it. I'm sitting at a bar. I'm like, man, I'm good to go. I got everything I need. I was close to the degree. I didn't have a degree. I had some awards. I had some quals. And a senior chief was talking to me. He was like, hey, man, you probably not going to make it on the first time. He was like, somebody with a number 1 EP coming off shore duty does not outweigh even like a number 3 EP on sea duty. He's like, it's just not going to outweigh it. Yeah. He was like, you need LPO at sea. I was like, I have it. I had it as a second. He's like, you're going to need it again. It was a couple things he was saying, and like, I can't lie. Like, when he said it, I was upset. Now, when I made chief, he was the first person I found, and hand I shook because I made it, the year later. But when he said it, I was like, tight. Like, what do you mean? Then the results came out, and I didn't make it, you know. But after I didn't make it, I wasn't like, all right, let me keep filling more wickets. Let me find this collateral. Let me figure out what I was going to do. No, my overdrive then, I can't lie, this was my only overdrive then. And I was at like a pretty kind of peculiar command at that point where I was going TAD to different ships. I was on LCS. So my only thing that I went in overdrive at that point was carrying. All right, I'm not going to worry about this wicket. I'm not going to worry about this degree. I'm not going to worry about JPME, PPME. I ain't going to worry about the MOVSM. I'm going to worry about my sailors. I'm going to worry about my division. I'm going to worry about fixing this equipment. I'm going to worry about being the best that I could be while I'm a first class. Let me be the best first class I could be, the best leader, the best mentor. That year, when I wasn't even thinking about it no more, I made chief.
Yep. And then, you know, the drive, right? Having that drive, even when you don't make it, right? Because a lot of times what I see right now is it's us. We are driving these sailors. We're going out telling these sailors, you going to make it. You going to make it. Then they head blow up. I got this. I got them in the back. My chiefs and my senior chiefs.
Because what you doing? What's the way that happens? It's like a records review on paper.
Yeah.
Right? What we looking at?
You looking real great. Your eval, your last 5 evals look good. You got Sailor of the Year. I know a guy on board our last command, Sailor of the Year. Freaking good evals, ranked in the top 3 in the evals, and guess what? He ain't pick up.
Yeah, we looking at the NDALs. We looking at PSR,
all this stuff, man. So it's a numbers game sometimes too. You know, how many they making? So I don't encourage the fact of going. You tell a guy, hey, your record looks good.
Yeah.
But all the you got this in the bag. You know, it's a wrap. You might well go ahead and buy your uniforms.
Yeah.
You mean all this type of talk, man? It's really let sailors down when they don't make it.
Yeah, it's too much.
And then they looking at you like, man, you say I was gonna make it.
Yeah.
You know, then they start looking at you differently. You know, I'm like, so when I'm talking to sailors and I look at their record, I tell them like, hey, either why you don't have this, or you missing some dates in your evals, you all type of stuff I look at when I'm looking at awards. But I've never been on the board either though, so I don't get into all the board stuff because
or when you start off a sentence like all I need is, they say all I need is. It's like I remember when I submitted. I remember, like I said, in that first year I was like, yeah, all I need is I ain't finished my degree, but my second year, I'm like, man, I don't even know what I need, you know. Yeah. It's up to those people in that room to make that decision.
Make that decision. What they looking for at that point in time.
And the Sailor of the Year don't solidify. A Sailor of the Year award don't necessarily solidify that you're gonna be a chief.
Nope.
But I do like that number, that 18 number. I mean, I think it could be a couple more. You know what I'm saying? To be honest.
Yeah. I agree, man. It's some sailors out there that the numbers just they performing at the level. And their numbers, just the numbers of that they make, just don't work out for them.
Yeah, it's certain race that is just
it's certain race that's like that, man. Like you got rates out there that's making 20 chiefs, you know, but you got some first class in there that's very capable of being chiefs. Yeah, but they only going to make 20 of them. So the way forward is, I think, with this 18 it's a big deal, man. And then the way I also like, I mean, I like the 18. Like you said, it could be more, but also like the board has to be done by May, right? May, I think it says May 15th.
Yeah, the 15th.
Board's got to be completed, and then that's good for the September the 16th, so they can actually go through the season.
Yep.
You know, and do all that, go through the whole initiation stuff, and become chiefs at the same time the other guys do.
Yeah, so it put them right. It put them right in line.
Yep, in line with it. Now I don't know if they get paid on that date or not. I don't know the difference in that yet. I don't know if they automatically get paid right then or not. But I
didn't see.
Yeah, I didn't read that yet. But I'm sure they probably do though, which makes them a little bit senior probably. So that's good, man. I kind of like this. I like where it's going anyway. And then a big shots out to the CNO and the MACPUN for pulling this trigger, right? 4 decades since something like this happened. The change of this happened since been 4 decades, man.
Yeah. Well, see, right, the CNO, they are like with the wholesaler 2025.
Yeah.
But the one that, you know, told everybody they wasn't gonna have that race anymore and everybody went crazy.
Yeah.
Did you went crazy about that?
I wasn't as crazy. I was crazy. I mean, I love being a damage controlman. So I was a little crazy about it, but I wasn't crazy as some people.
Yeah,
man, some people was
a
going
big deal.
in. It was a big deal. But the way it was presented to me, though, and again, this is on me being, I think, 15 years and above. It hits probably different for me.
Yeah,
because you start talking about getting out the Navy, you know what I mean, and then they trying to make something that's helps you when you get out the military. These numbers are supposed to that they trying to make us. These numbers mean something outside the Navy.
Yeah, because it was like you was able to cross train,
cross train,
rate, stuff like
all
that.
that type of stuff. So I wasn't as mad about it. 'Cause I'm like, I'm over the top of getting close to 20 years, getting close to getting out or whatever. So it may not be as bad. I'm looking at it may not be as bad.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, I breathe and eat damage control, right? So I kind of felt for my guys, cause man, I had some guys that was real upset about.
Yeah, because that surface level thought is that like, yo, I'm not gonna be called DC2 anymore. Like I fought.
Yeah.
I fought hard to be a DC2.
Call me 0489. You know?
Yeah. I was 100. Like, yo, dude, I was 100% okay with it. You know, and it, like so many people wasn't. Though it's hard to be in a conversation. Like, dude's like, yo, them rates, man. And it's like, man, I don't want to say I'm all right with it right here. Like, like this could be a problem for me right here. You know, I might have to go to like an endless debate. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they didn't take that, like, because that was like, and maybe if that wasn't like one of the first stages of the rollout with the Seller 2025, like people would have understood more. So, but I'm glad we still rolling out more stuff. Yeah, and the Navy changing a lot of like apps now for us to like kind of do stuff, control our move, control like the jobs we kind of find. Even though, in my opinion, the apps are garbage, man. They horrible.
Well, yeah, man. With these apps, man, trust me. I know that's where we going.
Yeah.
Right, with apps and things like that. So I'm okay with it. But the only problem I got with this stuff, with these apps is, say all the stuff you got it for admin. So you go in admin, and then admin tell me while I'm standing there to go check an app.
Yeah.
I got a problem with that, man. Like, what are you in here doing?
Yeah.
You know, like what's really going on? Like it's some stuff that can be taken care of right then and there, and they want me to go check on this app or do it yourself.
Yeah. And
right?
the app's
like,
always got like connection issues. Like get with Google, get with Apple, Navy, like get with some of these companies. We got to get away from Skillcraft, man.
Yeah, man, for real, dude.
And I appreciate everything we do for Skillcraft. You know, we work with the blind, you know, companies like that. But we got to get with some of these leaders in technology. Get better apps, man. The touch process is not like legit. You touching something for 6 minutes. I remember it was an officer app. It was like a Divo, e-Divo app, and it had like 1,500 instructions in it. You know, some of them you couldn't download. Like, it's too clunky. It's too big. It's a nasty. Just the whole interface to it was just nasty. You're supposed to be able to operate offline. It's just not the way to go. Like, my phone can't take this many gigs. Like,
yeah, man. Yeah, I remember. Like even with even medical stuff, man. Like now they want you to go online and look at your stuff instead of your medical hitting you up and say, you got this kind of appointment, you got this. No, you got to do this stuff yourself now.
Yeah.
So I mean, in a way it's okay.
It's good for me. It's a good idea, right?
Yeah,
I just don't think our tech is like who are we doing this with? Like that's my whole thing. Like who we working with? Because I don't think our tech, is it the ITs making these apps? I just don't think our tech is like where we should have it at.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And being at sea duty, man, like,
yeah, some of this stuff
we don't have time for all this stuff. Somebody got to tell me. Yeah, you have to tell me that I need to go for my appointments. I need to do this because we are. When you at the sea, man, it's different. It hits different. Yeah, you know, and you working.
That's why we had all those first classes that didn't take the PFK.
Yeah,
what was that? The PFK last year.
Yeah,
and they just wasn't eligible. They didn't even see the results of the exam.
Yep. And I mean, you know the bad thing about it, that was real shitty.
Dudes who made board for. I mean, hey, control your career.
Yeah.
You know, I hate to sound insensitive about this.
Yeah.
But take advantage and take control over your career. Don't wait.
Yeah. And that's what got him. Waiting to the last minute, and then guess what? We got to see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though you may have did it on your app, that don't mean nothing because it ain't gonna download until you get back home.
Yeah, this about being in a mess. This about this what you want.
Yeah.
You know, this ain't about I'ma just wait. Like I would have took that first day.
Yeah.
And it being online makes it a little easier, or being on an app makes it a little easier. But follow up, make sure they got it. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm with you with the career thing, man. It's like your career, you have to look out for yourself at all costs, man. Like if this up for you, we are talking about guys that's probably got a good chance of putting on Chief and didn't do.
Yeah, it's people that made board like 5 times straight, 4 times straight. This could have been their year.
Yeah.
And just didn't do one thing.
Yeah.
You know, and then a lot of these people, they've been upset.
Yeah.
You know, like really pissed off. And I got people personally I know and love.
Yeah.
You know, but that's one of them, like, you got to get a handle over this, man.
Yeah.
Make sure you know. And then some of these guys still didn't do it yet.
Yeah.
You know,
it's crazy, right? I mean,
yeah, I would have.
We sitting up here. We're sitting up here, man, with examples. Like last year, we had people that didn't take this exam, man, and was hurt. I'm talking about like walking hurt.
Yeah.
And now we still got people right now still haven't done it.
Some of the same people, man. You know, so you didn't saw what happens.
Crazy,
you know, you saw the effect of that. It's crazy. But yeah, the Navy, I mean, it's going a lot of good places with a lot of these things. EVALs. The EVALs are changing.
Well, yeah, speaking of apps, I mean, I think that's another thing too. We're gonna be able to do a lot of this stuff online. This new EVAL system. A lot of this stuff is gonna be online also. You're gonna be able to look at stuff. You're gonna be able to, you know, take tests. It's like a test they rolling out. But the biggest thing about this whole new eval thing to me personally, it hit home with me, is they said they did focus groups on how they coming out with this new eval. Mm-hmm. And guess what? That focus group missed me again.
Oh yeah,
wow.
Another one. Yeah, where we
These
at?
Focus groups be missing us, man. What's good? Hey, holla at me, man. Holla at your boy right here, man.
Yo,
can I get on one of these focus groups, man? Somebody out there, hit me up and
man.
Get me on one of these focus groups,
Permission
man.
to Speak Freely podcast.
Come see us, man. We
You
here,
can
man.
just submit the questions. We'll answer them just on the podcast. We'll answer them right on here.
Hey, and speaking of that, for anybody who's out there that have done this test trial on these evals, holla at us also.
Yeah, talk to me.
Holla at us, you know, permission to speak freely. Holla at us. We want to know more about this. So what do you think about it? The new eval system.
I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be a little bit more tailored toward who you are versus who you competing with, you know, because I mean, at the end of the day, we only competing with ourselves, you know, and that's a life, like a real life thing there. You know, I had one of my guys, I'll give you like my personal experience with evals in a second, but I had like one of my guys I was talking to about evals, and he was like, hey, you know, it's all of these wickets, but I'm me, that's my life. And none of my goals are like outlined on here. You know, it's like it's some professional goals on here, some stuff that I got to hit professionally, but nobody knows if I'm successfully doing what I want to do. You know, it's like, hey, in some ways I want to influence, you know, my sailors. I want to do this. I want to do that. This is not kind of telling me if I'm hitting my own goals. This telling me if I'm hitting somebody else's intentional goals for me. Yeah. And I understood what he was saying. So, you know, my issue, my confession for that is certain qualifications. Like for an engineer, you know, the pinnacle of your quals is an EAL qual, right? Yeah. So I got mine on my first ship as a second class. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that would be the pinnacle again for me as a chief. Like I wasn't under the expectation that this could affect my eval again if I don't get another one. You know what I'm saying? Like in my life, I don't set the same goal twice. Like I'm not like, all right, I got married once. You know what I'm saying? Now after I moved to DC, you know, the pinnacle of my life is to get married again. You know what I'm saying? Nah, like that was it, you know? So it's not saying that, you know, getting the EL letter is not a good thing on a new ship because it's going to help out the watch bill. It's going to help out the duty section. But being held to the standard that, all right, chief, if you don't get this EL letter, it's going to affect your eval. In my opinion, that's already a flawed part of the evals. And that's why I think it's better that we going toward, gearing it toward where it's compared against ourselves. Because if I'm comparing against myself, I already got this qual. So then it's like, all right, when I hit my 17th year in the Navy and go to a new ship again, you know, the metric is going to be an EVAL letter again. You know, I'm going to have to hear that at an EVAL debrief. Hey, all you need is your EVAL letter. I have 2 of these. Like, I need another one.
What do you mean?
Yeah. Like,
what do you mean? I need another one. So I do got a question about that, man. Like right now, the talk is eval is going to be based on your career field needs.
Yeah.
Right. So what does that mean? Right. A career. So I mean, if they don't need any chiefs, we're not gonna make any. I'm not gonna get a good eval because I don't understand it based off the career field, your career field needs.
I think it gotta do it if you're doing your job. I think it's more of that. I think it's more of if you're doing what you're supposed to do as a first class, as a chief, like in comparison to
who on the ship. It's one of you, one EM1 on board. In
comparison to the rate, I think.
Yeah.
You know, so if I'm an EM1 and I mean, you got compared to somebody, right?
Yeah, that's what I just can't. It's the need of the field. So I'm going to assume, because this is not in the streets, right? So let's make that clear. This is not in the streets. So we're not talking facts right now of everything when we talk about this. So I'm going to assume that something's going to come out saying, okay, this is what all the EM1s in the Navy has or something or whatever. Yeah. And now I'm going to base what you got off of that, and I'm going to evaluate you off that.
Yeah, like for instance, like, all right, you
I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, you a DCC, right? You're a DCC and you're not running DSET or something like that. Are you a DCC, you're not a fire marshal or something like that. Like you should, that's career field. That's career field kind of stuff, I think, right?
Yeah.
So I think I want to say that's, you know, some of the stuff. But again, a career, it's a 20-year career. It's not I think commands kind of get to feeling like the career base is just in that command.
Yeah. So that's going to be another eye opener when it comes to this. So now I'm one of one, because that's what I'm doing. I'm going off of myself, whatever. I'm not ranked against people. So when is this going to stop? Right, so now I'm an M1 at this command. Now I done went to another command, but I'm still hitting everywhere. I still got every qual, every whatever is inside of my ladder or whatever I'm basing this off of. So now do I go back to a P now since I changed my commands?
Well, I don't think we know. I don't think that's a discussion that we need to have.
Yeah. Because be part of that focus group.
Yeah.
Talk about
because maybe the senior raider shouldn't be the commanding officer. Maybe that's not the case. You know, like at any other job, a 20-year career is a 20-year career. You can move locations and you're not going to be prejudged by, hey, this the new guy.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing. And that's discouraging, man.
Yeah, man. It is. And people talk about it all. It's one of those things that's been talked about forever in the Navy. You know, I've been here 8 months, 9 months. I have showed what I can do in 8 months, 9 months, even 10 months.
Yeah, like, yo, I'm better than these guys.
Yeah, I'm automatically a P. Automatic.
And that's like, we got to get you to P. You know, we already had this guy. Or you get the guy sitting fat with the EP. You know, or the sailor sitting fat on that EP, man.
Been there forever.
Like, I was number 2 last year, so I'm probably going to be number 1 because number 1 made chief or number 1 left. So I'm just getting booted up. I already been the president. I already did this. I already did that. There's nothing else for me to do. And that's twofold, because I kind of agree, if it's nothing else for somebody to do, then we can't kind of like judge them at a lower point or whatever, but you still need to be operating at your highest level. Try something bigger, try like a chief's collateral, try like a department head's kind of like assistant kind of job or something like that. Keep going, keep trying to get bigger, contribute to your command at the highest level possible.
And it's always something, man. You can't tell me it's nothing else you can do. That's hard to
Right.
say that if you go to a command and say nothing else I can do. I got it's something out there you can get.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's something there.
I definitely think that conversation that we having about just the 20-year kind of valuation of a sailor or a career is a conversation that needs to be had. Because there's no way if your senior rater is your captain or your commanding officer that's going to happen. It's going to change every new command you get to.
Yeah. And doing a little research on it, it's people already doing the trials on this. So yeah, man, if you guys are out there, man,
Yeah,
talk to us,
definitely
man.
not us, man. Trials don't come to us, man.
'Cause I know I really want to know. I really want the details on this. So
evals right now, evals right now, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk the good, the bad, the ugly, right? Evals right now. Can you give me what some of the good things about, maybe 3 to 5 good things you think about evals right now?
well, if I'm thinking about good things right now about the eval, it's kind of one of those things that we've been doing in the Navy forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where we know what we need to do to be successful, right? And one of them is your job. You got to be good at your job. So everybody in the Navy, when I do a debrief, when I do a CDB, I'm telling you have to be good at your job, right?
Yeah.
So another thing, like being in the mess environment, you have to have mess environment. So what I'm getting at is we know, right? We know these things that we have to do, right? A lot of times people go out there and they do stuff and they do these things where they don't really understand how they've been evaluated. So once we know that you got to be good at your job, you got to have some kind of collateral, you have to have some involvement, right? So we know all these things. So we know we go out there and get. So if we don't do any of these things, we probably know that we're not going to have a good eval.
Yeah.
Right. Eval is not going to be that good. So we know. So that's one good thing about it. We kind of know those things, right? The a couple more good things about it. You in your write up, it kind of tells you about the thing that you need to excel in your write ups. You got performance, right? You got all these little wickets in there that you're gonna get a 1.0 to a 5.0 on. So you kind of know and then you can write your eval to that, right? To that stuff. I use a lot of those stuff when I started out. I use a lot of that verbiage in my evals. Already to make sure I was hitting what I need to hit. If I want to talk about some of the bad things with evals that I think we need to figure out is those guys at the top and stay at the top.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like that's one of those things where I seen a guy, he came out his first year, he kicked ass, and then he didn't do shit for 2 years.
Yeah.
But he didn't do nothing to not
sitting chunky on that.
Yeah. So he didn't do nothing to not warrant of being the number one guy. But this dude been sitting there and haven't done really anything.
Yeah.
The whole time. So a performance thing too. I like look at it like that. To have some type of a format with the debriefs, right? I think that the debriefs, when you talking to, I feel like it should be at the departmental level, right? And the reason why I think it should be at the departmental level because we go to the CO. As you get to a certain rank, you're talking to the CO, but the CO may not know what you do every day or what you need to work on.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like at the departmental level, now only thing that the CO going to look at is what someone has told him or what he done read that's in front of him.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I want this guy to be ranked right here. That's all he knows. He don't know you like that. But to get better, the debrief is to get better at something. So I feel like the department, he knows what you do every day. Right. And the same thing with the midterm. Right, a midterm is you telling me you want me to get better, but how does the CO who don't work with me every day, he gonna tell me to get better on something?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So that's a couple of things I look at the bad. I feel like different people can do different things, and then they can delegate that too. That's not a big deal when it comes to it, because the commanding officer probably can delegate. Okay, you go do the debrief, or you go do the midterm, or whatever. So yeah,
I think for me, I think the good is being able to sit in there and hear what your people that you working with are working for got to say, right? Just being able to get in that room with more than one level of leadership that you work with at that time and hearing what they got to say from their individual level, So the whole, such and such stole my thunder or piggyback thing, I think that should not happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I believe that if I'm a second class, I need my first class, my chief, my DLCPO, my department head, they'll all kind of tell me what's going on so I can see what picture they have on how I should perform. So I think that's a good thing when that happens, when and your Divo in there too, right? But when that happens, I think it's a good thing. The other side of that is I'm a guy that's like, I hate time limits for anything. So I don't think it should be a limit to that. Like, I don't think it should be, all right, we got a 6-minute window. All of us need to kind of get in right here and do this, right? So that's the other side of having that group of people in there. Another good thing about it, like you said, is at this point, it's kind of a part of, what we do. And it's a part of what a lot of people outside, of the Navy do too in their jobs. So it's a good way to kind of have something. It's a good way to kind of have some documentation on how you're doing, and you could kind of review it and see what you need to do for the next year. But it's a lot about it that I don't think is good. That's why my good points, they ain't that great, because the whole EP, MP, SP, I don't think we use it right, and I don't think that is good. I think as a junior, so what you got?
And I don't think we even know how to use it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you know what I mean? How do we use this? So yeah,
and we don't write evals. Most people don't write evals to that at all. Like, most people will write an EP eval to an MP seller, or vice versa. Write an MP eval to a EP seller, and then the actual trade average starts to matter, and then you kind of finagling with the trade average and whatever you giving them, the EP, the MP, and all that. I just think, and then sellers get into the weeds about MP, EP. It's so hard to convince a first class that, hey, you don't need an EP to get in a Chiefs mess. Sometimes it get hard. You know what I'm saying? And after you get in a mess, you know that. Like, yo, it's about your write-up. It's all about your write-up. You got this, because we already know about the precepts. We already know about the convening order. We already know about the board. We know all of that. A lot of first classes, all they know is performance. So they get to thinking, and they don't listen. Like, they don't listen when we say it. Like, hey man, it does not matter, because they see these guys getting EPs, going into the mess, and they see all that. So that competitive edge right there. So even as the most junior seller, I just have an issue with the whole EP, MP, SP, because another thing I got an issue with that is that it's numbers. That's numbers based. So for instance, I remember us sitting in the mess and like hanging off, like we doing a ranking, a ranking for first classes. And I remember us knowing we only had like 17 EPs or something like that, right?
Yeah.
We only got 17 EPs, and we got like 6 to 7 people fighting for the last EP, even though we all believe they all deserve EPs.
Yeah.
Right. And that's an example, right? It could have been the MP side of the house, but we got 6 to 7 people. We're fighting for this last EP. So then it's like, all right, so the difference between an EP and an MP is so vast that it's like the number one MP now, we got to fight for this too. All right, so if this person wasn't the bottom EP, then now it's a whole nother fight for the top MP. Like, it's not even the same. All right, well, this person shouldn't be an MP anyway. So now it's a whole fight for that bottom EP. So I believe we should, it shouldn't matter. I don't even know why it matters. Like, I don't understand, like, in the big picture, why it matters that much. And even with the whole, if it's no MPs is no MPs, and then MPs as well. And then like Ps, for instance, right? So Ps the same way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Fighting for the top P.
Yeah. You got guys kind of fighting for the top P, and then it's hard to get out of there. I think it should be more of just that, if we're going to go trade average, we're going to go trade average. If we're going like the number, if we're going to go 4.57, which 3.83,
which we was told means a lot, right?
Yeah.
Means a lot.
But then you got some people that might be like under the Riska, or over the Riska, but not the EP. And then like it get weird right there too. And that's a whole nother conversation in itself. Cause now I'm a 383, but, if I'm an EP, this guy's a 414 and he an MP. The MP got us the 414. Wondering how am I an MP at a 414? And this guy got a 3. It's so crazy when we mixing up the numbers and that whole thing. And then I just think being numbers based, period. Like, hey, we need 5 EPs, 17 MPs. You know, I remember getting an MP first year on the ship, and then, you know, it coming back to me later like, hey man, you know, and it's a welcome aboard eval.
Yeah.
So I got the MP on a welcome aboard, and I, you know, again, I'm like happy, like, oh man, I got an MP on my welcome aboard. And then CMC come back like, hey, you know, we messed up with the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, oh, okay. You know, what does that mean?
Yeah,
that mean we gotta give you a P. You know, so now I got a P. You know, so then you know, even our wives, you know, they're involved now. You know what I'm saying? Well, what you got, babe? You know what I'm saying? I got a P, man. I got an EP first, but they messed up with. I mean, I got an MP first, but you know, they messed up with the numbers, so it looked like a P. So it's like, so it's all just. So I just the valuation of it and the way we kind of look at it. They like two of the things I really think are not right, you know. And then the junior sellers, they clouded about it, man.
Yeah, man. But again, I think that goes to us, the way we talk about it and the way we put it out to them ahead of time. You know
the story, not to cut you off, but you know the story about the one fireman who got his ESWAS. The department head told him, you get an ESWAS, you guaranteed to get an EP.
Yeah.
You know the story I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know the story you're talking about.
It happened on our ship.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, you get your ESWAS, you guaranteed to get an EP.
Yeah.
And
I think that was a mistake.
You should never make a guarantee.
Never make it. Because especially in what we was doing and how we was doing it, it was a pre-com ship at the time. We really don't know how people work and how they work ethic and what they do and all that stuff. Not saying that.
No, this guy got a hell of a the seller has a hell of a a hell of a work ethic.
Yeah, that's not the case here. But you don't want to promise nobody then, because you don't know what may happen. You know what I mean? You don't know what's going to happen in the future, so you don't go out there and promise nothing like that, because you got some other sailors out there that's maybe deserving also. So now you put yourself in a bind because you told this sailor that freaking 6 months ahead of time, or even longer. I think, like, if you guys do this, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And the thing with this story here is, it was personal. You personally told this sailor that if you get this, I'm gonna do that. It wasn't no like you told a big audience this.
Yeah.
You told this sailor this personally.
And so then that's like it. Like, yeah, all right, I got it. I got them these SWATs. I got it. What's up? Like, and then, you know, you sit there. I sat at that debrief. I heard what the department had said, you know. It was like, you know, we say these things kind of prematurely, and then the chiefs, you know, they got to come, you know, kind of correct us and give us a reality check that these are things we might not say. We might, you know, should not say.
Yeah.
So as true as that is, it goes to now the chiefs. So now the seller like, oh, it was you, chief? Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you the reason that I ain't get the ESWAS.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this department had every intention that he could to get me this thing, but somehow you gave him a reality check, and now I don't got my ESWAS. I mean, now I don't got my EP.
Hey, when you say that, man, I'm thinking about the sailor that you talking about, man. I'm saying to myself, yep, I'm sure he probably told you that too.
That's my boy, man, and he just got out as well. And a lot of these things taint.
Oh, did he get out?
He got out, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, he got out. But a lot of these experiences that these young sellers are going through, it kind of taints them, and it, like, the retention rate, and it's kind of affected by that, man. Yeah. You know, we had a I'll get like a real quick story. We had a seller, one of my sellers, she wanted to go on leave when she first got to the command, and we had a pre-inspection coming up for one of our major inspections. And I saw her crying like a couple days before she put in her request for leave. I saw her crying somewhere. I went and talked to her, and she just, you know, she's like, hey, I just got to go home. I just got to go home. Mm-hmm. So she routed up the leave request, you know, and nobody really has to know why she got to go home. That could be a personal, you know, reason. Yeah. I kind of had an idea why she needed to go home, but it didn't happen. You know, her leave pretty much became a big thing, you know, and she's a brand new seller. She's not qualified to do anything. It's like, well, this could be a good learning kind of experience for her and all of that. And I'm like, well, this could also be detrimental to her career. It's a good seller, man, like really good kind of go-getter. I'm like, this could be a really bad experience, a really bad first impression if we don't let her. She just came out of boot camp, didn't take leave in between there. If we don't let her go home to her family and kind of take care of what she got to take care of, this could be bad. And shortly after that, Sailor pretty much got out the Navy, due to like stress, mental health, emotion-based things. Our schedule was crazy, and that schedule being crazy bring me to this article I read recently, and it's written by somebody that we both know. Yeah. And the person, just if anybody else read this article, just so you can know, this person ain't no slack, ain't no slouch, kind of a really hard charger. Young Devo, Lieutenant JG. Right?
Yep, graduated, a master's from Georgetown.
Lieutenant JG Sherbinin. And the article is called "A Fleet Without a Rudder." Did you read that?
Yeah, I read it, man. Yeah. I tell you, man, that hey, everybody, that we were talking to, our whole audience, whoever listened to us, man, read that article, man. This article, no shit, hit probably everything that every sailor is probably thinking.
So I talked to him, right? I talked to him just the other day. I talked to him because we're on the same ship.
Yeah.
So I talked to him, and he was like, man, I'm interested to hear what the chiefs got to say. I'm interested to hear what some senior leadership got to say about the article because, I might have heard from junior sailors, and I think some of the article was contrived from conversations he had with junior sailors.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, we got you. We'll tell you how we feel about this.
And then we read it, right? So you're right, though. I can tell that he listened to a lot of junior sailors when he was writing this article. But regardless of who he talked to, most everything he said on there is dead on, dead spot on. So in this article, he talks a lot about, it's a couple carriers that's about to go back and deploy. Like right away, they just came off deployment, about to go back on deployment, and the amount of money that we're spending. He talks about our training plan is not working. And he goes on and talks a lot about how much money we spending on different things, and we just not getting it right. And the name of it is A Fleet Without a Rudder, and what he's talking about is the sailors in this. The actual people. What are we doing for the people? We know we're trying to do this training for the fleet. We're trying to do all these other things, but what are we doing for the sailors?
Now,
right?
I'm going to interject just for a second, just to kind of highlight the way he wrote it, right? Because it was a metaphor to a steering casualty, right?
Yep.
So like a loss of steering, actually like losing the rudder or something like that. So every paragraph it was 3 sections.
Yep.
And every part kind of went to a different aspect in the continuity of losing your actual rudder or whatever. So that's all I wanted to say about that.
And you losing a rudder, meaning, okay, what are you gonna do? You lose sailors.
Yeah.
Right. What are you gonna do? So the big thing I got there is like the questions. It's still a question.
It's a bunch of questions.
A mark for me when it comes to the sailors. I talked about this earlier when a sailor on the Bunker Hill asked me, like, what do I do? Like, I want to stay Navy, but how can I do this and handle this? It's stressful, it's mental, and all this stuff. Like,
he talked about the Army too. So
yeah, he talked about the Army because they had what it was when we went to, I guess when they was over there going to war, and he talked a little bit about that too. About how they was stressed out and stuff and had to go back over there. So
just service members. I know because we're both sailors, so we both talk about sailors a lot, but just service members in general, right?
Yeah, on this back to back. So, man, if you guys, it's a good read, man, for one. But I really also want to talk about in this article. I'm not sure how it got where it ended up at. Right, it seemed like an article that we talk about, like maybe at the command or maybe whatever. But this article now is huge. Yeah, it's a huge article right now.
Grew legs.
And I'm here to tell you, in this article, this young Lieutenant JG went at heads. He ain't just talk about, like, he talking about we got this wrong. The whole the Navy got this stuff wrong from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, he even challenged them at the end.
Yes.
Like, if both these ships go back out, then we're not getting this.
Yes. So he challenged everybody there. Now, my only take from that, and this is me, my personal opinion is did we take the right steps when we put this article out? Right? Because now when you go, like, for example, if I go out and my sailors, one of my sailors go out and do something and I don't have a clue of what it is, then I end up coming back on me and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Why I didn't know about this? You just did this and I didn't have a clue that you just did this. So that's kind of how it seemed to me, and I don't know the background of this story. I don't know if he did go up the chain of command.
I think he
went through all the channels.
This was like his third article that he submitted. Yeah.
So it may not even be on him. It may possibly be on somebody else. Like I guarantee you, the people who he went at probably didn't know that this article was gonna come out about them.
Yeah, and again, like he's a fight guy. Like he one of those guys that it don't matter how long we in a fight. We could be probably putting out a fire, working late. He's going to be there. He's an amazing young officer. He's not like because this article, what I'm trying to express is that this article didn't come from a slouch that's running away from work or that's not going to be fully motivated when it's time to commit to the fight. He's in the fight 100% all the time.
No doubt.
So, I mean, a couple of things that it spoke from, it spoke for a lot of sailors. It spoke for khaki. It spoke for junior sailors. Yeah. And it's really like just that reality of like, and then it's a good point because these are the way a lot of us think now. You know, you can't just keep on doing this every single day. You know, we can't just keep going out. We just got back.
Yeah. This hit home in so many ways in this article and how it was written, especially when it comes to the training. It's not working. And it's not working because we didn't put the points in there. What if a ship doesn't get out of its training cycle? What if a ship doesn't get out the yards on time on the material side of it? So now you're going to tell me that this ship has to stay longer or this ship has to go back or these personnel do this. So it is true, right? And I think a lot of the higher ups, I think what like really hit me hard was off the first paragraph where he pretty much asked the question like, you know, what war are we fighting? Like, you know, think about that right now, man. Hey, what war are we fighting? I know what some of you guys gonna say when he say that. Like, well, we always gotta be prepared.
Yeah, I know. I was reading some responses from some people, and somebody was saying, "Well, what's going on in the South China Sea?" and you know, stuff like that. But again, what he's saying is a lot of people don't know the why. So if it is like just this 1 to 2 to 3% of people that know the why, that's also what he's kind of saying in there. Like, we all need to kind of understand what's going on here because we don't know it.
And that's what we preach too. We preach that like when you put your side, you get your sailors to working and you get your guys to want to work hard for you. They working hard for you because they know why they are doing it.
Yeah.
Right. So how about us? You know, we'll go out there and we'll go do this and that, but let us know why we going out there and do these things. So that was good. That was a really good piece in the article that he talked about.
Yeah, because people got to feel like they're part of the fight.
Yeah. But the biggest thing, though, that I think now coming from the article and just coming from me is the sailor side of it. Mm-hmm. And of course, you got other service member students out there doing the same thing. But from a sailor standpoint, from a mental standpoint, on these sailors going back to back like this, they actually, I know we signed the contract and I know we, at the end of the day, going to do what we have to do, you know, but it's a price that's going to be paid, man.
I heard it was some changes already kind of being made and talked about just coming off of this article.
Yeah.
Some major changes already being made and talked about.
And sometimes maybe you're so high up that you don't know these things, man. Maybe this brung some light to something that they may have knew a little bit about, but they may have not knew it was this bad.
That's a big, and I think that's a big thing because all we have are these inspections that we prepare for.
Yeah, yeah.
And in my opinion, that says a lot. Like, you know, like, hey, I'm gonna come see how well you keep your house.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give you 2 years to prepare. for me to see how well you keep your house. By the time I get to your house is probably gonna be clean.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, speaking of that, man, so, junior sailors are the best, right? Because one thing about junior sailors, they gonna tell it how it is. They ain't gonna sugarcoat nothing. So I remember walking the deck plates of the Bunker Hill, and this young sailor was behind me talking about this inspection that we was doing. So, and he was telling me, he said, "Man, senior, we done showed this equipment like 4 times in 6 months.
Yeah.
From all the different teams that came on board, we done showed this system 4 times. Come on, man. You got all these different teams and all these guys coming on board, and sometimes they're coming on board with 2 weeks announced.
Yeah.
A week announced. Oh, they're gonna be on board next week, and you like, what?
Yeah.
So now you got to work the weekend, maybe, possibly, to try to get this stuff ready for them when you didn't even know they was coming on board the ship.
Yeah, because my opinion on that is I think the fallout from some of those inspections are like, it's a lot, man. Like the whole like captains, your triad getting fired. If it, in my opinion, if it's not dangerous to personnel, habitability and stuff like that, I don't believe that a failed, impromptu inspection should result in the triad getting fired or your captain getting fired. I think you get a hit list, you take the hit list and you fix the hits, and then you get reevaluated. A lot of times now, like the expectation is to be 100% on the pre-inspections.
Yeah.
If you ain't 100% on the pre-inspections, heads are going to roll.
Yeah. What is the pre-inspection for? I think you telling me you gonna come on board my ship before, and say it's 4 in-serve. You coming to check my stuff out before in-serve, right? You gonna hit me, and I'm gonna go out and fix those hits, and I'm gonna be ready for in-serve. I thought that was the whole point.
To help.
To show me what I need help with.
That shit ain't no help.
To go out and help. No, it's
no
graded
help,
just like, you might well be in-serve.
Heads roll, man.
Yeah.
Heads, my head is rolled already a couple times. I've seen heads roll from pre-inspections, man.
Yeah. But how many pre-inspections you got? Good
it's a lot.
Gracious,
it's a lot, man. We got this team, we got that team, we got this team. And then on top of that, my big thing, and this is a compound to that Fleet Without a Rudder, my whole thing that I continue to think is that right now we having an identity crisis. We don't know what we want to be. Do we want to be a training military where we do have these, because all these assessments and stuff are like different kind of training programs and training points. Do we want to be that military? Do we want to be the maintenance military? Do we want to be a war fighting military? Which one do we want to do? Because we can't do PMS. Like right now, we can't really do the amount of PMS we want to do because we got repairs. We got to get ready for this inspection, and then, all right, that same day we got to train. How many are towards TFOM, we can't go red there. Yeah. So we got to do these.
Some got to give, man.
Like right now we trying to do DC drills and get ready for in-serve. So for most of the DC drills, most of the DSAT team and most of the people that's running the drills, they can't be there because they got a contractor on board or they doing something in preparation for this inspection that we got going on. Yeah. So now what does DSAT guy have to do? Tone down the drill. So it's not even a real drill now. It's just a walkthrough, talk through. You might have like 3 DSAT members talking to people that some of them already know what's going on. And then some of them just are like totally, are out of the realm of understanding what's going on. So they need a whole different level of training.
Yeah.
So like, but it's like, what do we want to do here? We going to break up. I told you when I had the IRAT members on board, when I had the RAT team on board, I felt bad. I didn't have enough time to get training from these guys because we had major repairs that we needed to fix.
Yeah.
So it's like, are we just kind of like filling checks and boxes for training? Like, are we really like considering the fact that we got to teach these people?
Yeah. And those are questions, those are questions that need answers, right? Like, I'm not here to like bitching about this stuff or bitching about what I do in the Navy or anything like that, but it's reality.
Yeah.
This is reality on what we are doing on board these ships, Right now from inspections.
It's getting a 13-week report for PMS. Is that a full-time job?
Yeah. Yeah, everything is a full-time job now. Like you what you were saying about, the DC. DC is a ship-wide thing, right? Yeah. It's ship-wide, right? So you could run these drills, but if somebody else come on board the ship to look at your stuff, your DC drills are not going to get the priority because your DSET members most of the time are first class or a chief. So now that chief need to go take care of his stuff. His stuff is his priority. I know for a fact that if you got somebody coming on board the ship to look at supply, right? A lot of my DSET members may be from supply. So now you got this team come on board. Supply's priority is supply now.
Yeah. All right. So like you a DC man, right?
Yeah.
So this a place I want to go, right? It's a real place I want to go here.
Yeah.
All right. So when the inspectors come on board and assess the DC drills, right?
Yeah.
What you think the standard is on that? Do you think it's a high level standard?
A standard of what they come on board and do? On how they grade it?
The grading. I'm gonna give you my opinion. I'm
gonna tell you this.
Go first.
Yeah. My opinion of when they come on board and they grade these drills, it's not, when you read the grading cards, it's a lot of gray area and a lot of give and take on it, right? So that's a lot of times you tell me, okay, I can tell you, okay, he may or not have did this, but my grade sheet didn't say that, so it's good to go.
Yeah, so what is it scored like 90, 89, 95, or is it pass fail?
No, it's not pass fail. It's a grade.
So it's a grade.
Gotta be 80%.
All right. So 80% on a DC drill, right? A 80% DC drill, would that be equivalent to like 80% of like a regular test, like a school test? Like if it was 100 questions, that means this person knew 80% of this test and they good to go. Is that like this? Compare that to like a DC drill at 80%? No.
Man, for a DC drill at 80% is like 100%. Only thing we care about is passing that drill.
Yeah,
that's it. We don't care if it's freaking 81. We don't care if it's 99. I take that back. I won't say we don't care.
So basically what I'm saying is this. On a regular test, right? If somebody get at 80% on that regular test, that mean they know their shit enough to pass this test, get at 80%. They've survived this class. They could do it.
Yeah.
At 80% on a DC drill, right? For you, does that mean in a real life scenario that this team knows their shit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe. Well.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. That's a tough
question. That's a tough question.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't, because I have seen it. We have seen it firsthand where we pass these drills, and when I know at the back of my mind, man, how do we pass that drill?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at.
So no, it doesn't. We always training. And we always trying to get better. So not necessarily that means they know they shit, because we already know they don't.
And that's going off the logic and the consideration that it's too much shit going on to really buckle down and give the best training that we could give. So it's some leeway that we got to give when we grade these things.
Yeah.
Right.
And it is some leeway. And I go back to this same thing, and I hate to say it, is how times have changed. Man, like when I came up, and I've been in the Navy over 20 years, but when I came up, DC was DC. Everybody knew it.
It should be.
Everybody know DC like really, really good.
Yeah.
Like now we got people out there that don't know DC, and your life can be in their hands sometimes. You like, man, like I ain't talking about onesies and twosies.
Yeah, like out in the open ocean.
I'm talking about like, wow, man, it's wild, and you get real passionate about it because it's my rate. So I'm very passionate about it, and we train, but it's just so much stuff going on that you don't have the time. Like I've been on a ship where I do training every single day for damage control. Every day we do training.
Mm-hmm.
And you may get one or two people down there for that training.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because we got so much stuff going on.
Yeah. So I'm using DC. Like I like using DC as a snapshot of the naval training period.
Yeah.
Because DC is the surviving, the life kind of surviving training. Like this,
Yeah.
all of us need to know how to put out fires. We've recently had, collisions. We had casualties throughout the history of the Navy. Like all of us need to know how to put out fires. Like DC should always be prioritized, right?
Yep.
So that's why that's why I love using DC as an example for when it comes to the lack of training. Because if we got a lack in the most basic kind of skill we need to survive out in sea, what you think about every other program, every other training program, every other aspect of training?
But it's not because I'm a DC?
No, I don't got nothing to do with the fact that you're a DC. Shit, if you wasn't a DC, I'd be tearing DC up right now. I'd be tearing DC up, man. But for real, man, it's like if we can't get damage control training right, then where else are we kind of falling off at in training? How much in-rate training, how much are you able, or are we able to do OJT and in-rate training during a regular day?
It's like, now this goes from different platforms and different things like that. I'm sure some of you guys out there are really, getting your in-rate training in and have that time. But I'm telling you, when I tell you that, when I say this, is that out to sea is different now, man. Sea duty is different. It is hard to get that in-rate training in. You really, really try to get that time in. But from your PMS that you're trying to get in for that day, plus all the team inspection teams that you're trying to get ready for, it's a full day. And you try to squeeze in once a week to try to get you some in-rate training in. And sometime that once a week come in, because we plan for, say, Thursday at 08:30, we're gonna do in-rate training.
Yeah, but when the priority change, was the first thing that get pushed?
That your in-rate training is getting pushed every time. Your DC training is getting pushed every time.
Dude, I when my thirds left, man, I cried, man. When one of my thirds left, I shed a tear, man, because all I had was OJT. And that was OJT to the point, like every job we had was an emergency, so I had to get fixed.
Yeah.
So they didn't have time to like stop and say, hey, right now I'm reading out this overload. Right now I'm checking this. It was hey, I need to watch this guy do what he do so I can know how to do what I got to do. So all it was like a OJT. So when they left, like I literally went in the fan room and like shed a tear. Like yo, what am I gonna do? I never really got like actual training on how to like troubleshoot and be an electrician, outside of them the stuff that we might have done in the shop. But I feel like we had more time back in 07, 08 to sit in the shop and do a 30-minute training. We've been rushing through quarters. We doing a lot better right now, personally, at our command right now, but we've been rushing through quarters. We've been rushing through trainings. We've been rushing through briefs, a whole bunch of stuff, because it's the op tempo. It's the priority base, everything we got going on.
Yeah.
So what was it, anything else about Fleet Without a Rudder that stuck out to you?
No, not really. I mean, we touched bases. We touched it pretty good, but I just want to say one more time that big shots out, sir. I mean, that was bringing some attention to what we know that's happening in the fleet for a long time now. And I think you have shedded light on it, and I think something is going to happen about it, because it is hurting sailors every day when it comes from a mental standpoint, from a stressful standpoint. It is stressful out to sea now. And I know some of you older guys that's older than me that's been doing this for a long time and say, hey, shut up and do your job. Mm-hmm. I know anybody can say that, but what I'm here to tell you, this ain't 1970. This ain't 1980. Things are different right now, and we're not being able to train our sailors like we should. And sailors is not having a whole lot of time to be trained.
Yeah.
And they learning on the fly.
And I think we need more pieces like this, more think pieces like this from junior sailors. Yeah. I really do. I always think that leaders, when they get the reality check from their junior people, it means a lot more when they get reality checks from people that's more senior than them. So I definitely think we need more kind of think pieces from the junior sellers, more expressions like this. And I also straight up believe if you keep knocking, eventually somebody gonna open the door and hear you out. But then I also believe that the person behind that door might not know it's people outside.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it, and if we never complain, right? And I don't even mean complain. If we never voice our opinion up the chain, if we never kind of let people know how this affects us, we always just kind of, all right, we gotta work, we can't say this, we gotta kind of walk on eggshells. Nobody actually get the reality of what's going on, and a lot of these people that we kind of talk to are reasonable people.
Yeah,
you know,
and the side to this is, and we kind of know this also, is that when one person do it, stand by.
Yeah,
you might get some more articles like this. You might get now. Okay, what happened? Anything happened to this sailor for saying this? No, they kind of like listening to him a little bit. More opportunities. So now I'm assume more people gonna come out with some good work like this.
Yeah, so keep them coming, y'all. Keep it in good spirit, keep it in respect to chain of command, but keep them coming. Keep voicing your opinion. Keep letting everybody know what's going on. If anybody got any questions, anything they want us to kind of talk about, anything they want to share, make sure y'all hit us up.
Yeah, read that article, guys.
All right. So for me, the book that I kind of got for this week, it's called Tightrope. And I've been on my economical, social kind of book thing. I'm going to get off of it in a minute, but I'm still on it right now. So it's by Nicholas Kristof and Cheryl Wooden. And I hope I'm pronouncing their names right. And this is a good book. It's probably, in my opinion, it's my favorite book that I read this year. It's about Americans reaching for hope. It's about a city named Yamhill, and they grew up in this small town, and it was affected by drugs, poverty, and things like that. And it's a lot of different. So it's kind of based off of like them riding on a bus and like remembering some of the kids they went to school with and the paths that their lives went down. Yeah. And the story that stuck out the most for me from this book was it was a kid, a young black kid. And this book is not about just black people or race or whatever. But this story here was about a young black kid who grew up on like a more of rough side of town. And he attempt to murder a white woman. And he shot her in the face. Like he shot her in the eye. And so he went to jail for life. And then him going to jail for life for that attempted robbery, him and this woman became friends. Oh, wow. Him and the lady he shot. And she just felt like she ruined his life. And that wasn't her only feeling. Like it was more to like the way she felt than just that she ruined his life. But she felt like, man, this young guy, who knows what he was going through before all this. Yeah. So she befriended him and she fought to get him out of, and I talked about like clemency in our last episode and prison reform, but she fought to get him out of prison and he came home. And the first person that she saw and he saw when he came home was her and him, and they embraced. Man. But so it's about just different stories like that. People like vets who fought in the war coming home, the opioid crisis, different things like that. It's a really good book. And they go from talking about how America is a different place than it was before. And the whole like make America great again idea. Some of the things that was good in the 50s versus some of the ways that it's bad now, like that we haven't really gotten any better. So they go from talking about all that stuff. They talk everything, economics, real estate, everything. And then they get into like different ideas on how it could be better. So again, it's not just stating a problem, it's kind of giving a solution and different roads toward that kind of destination. So it's a good book, a really good book. It's called Tightrope. It's supposed to have a companion documentary. I'm still waiting on this damn documentary, man. Yeah. So it's supposed to have a companion documentary, but if you're listening and you really want a really good book that's going to inspire you and put you on a path, Tightrope, good book.
Yeah. Hey, it sounds real good, man. So the book I'm reading right now is boring, right? I mean, I just picked it up. I've been looking at it a little bit. I'm not reading it for anything that's like what I normally read books for. I normally read books for motivational and effort and all this crazy stuff that I normally read books about. But this book more about what I'm trying to do in my 2-year plan that I put out for myself. My 2-year plan is to own some type of business, right? So the first thing I'm doing now is I'm reading a book about LLC Quick Start by John Knight. So it's pretty much telling me about the limited liability company, you know, how I'm gonna try to brand myself and things like that I'm trying to do. So and there's different ways I can do that, different ways I can look at it on how I want to do it, but this is a start for me. So the book is dry as hell, right? But it's telling me the different ways you can the different LLCs that's out there and different ways you can do it, the different states that has different ways that they do it, and things like that. So the book is getting me started on where I want to go and where I want to be in 2 years. So I haven't read nothing but a little bit of it so far, but more to come on this book. I'll let you guys know. Is it a breakthrough? And everybody in the world should read it. I'm gonna let you guys know in the future, but that's why I'm reading it, because I'm trying to. That's what direction I'm trying to go in on owning a business. So I need to know about this stuff. So that's why I'm reading it now.
Information, right? Knowledge is power.
Knowledge
right?
is power, man. Yep.
Let's talk about this movie, man.
Yeah, man. So as you guys know, we got this book and this movie. So now it's the movie we got, man, and the movie we picked this week to watch was Greyhound. Movie just came out May of 2020.
Yeah.
Right. So first off, big shots out to this Tom Hanks. You know, he's been doing his things for a while, man. So you guys all know Tom Hanks. Go ahead and do the rundown, man. Give us the rundown.
So I'm a reserve the shout out. Tom Hanks is like, for the record, Tom Hanks is one of the best actors ever. Right.
Yep.
I heard he got caught up. I heard he might be caught up in the Epstein kind of scandal, though. So I'm gonna kind of hold back the shout out. I'm gonna kind of hold back the shout out, but definitely, Tom Hanks is one of the better actors of our generation, and it's directed by a guy named Aaron Schneider, and it was an Apple exclusive. It was an Apple TV movie, so. Yeah. I feel like Tom did a favor for Apple TV. It's a couple people trying to, help, get that streaming service off the ground. So that's the kind of like the black and white of this movie. But what'd you think about it, though?
So first off, I didn't think the movie was very good. Love Tom Hanks, love his character, love what he did for the movie. But the movie itself, I felt like it wasn't that good. Dang. And that's my opinion. If I was giving it a rating right now, I'd probably give it a 2 to 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
It wasn't that good for me. Now, I can talk about the movie a little bit. A couple good things in the movie was Tom Hanks' character, man. He gave a character of a CO that wasn't going to stop, wasn't going to quit until the job was done. That's kind of what I seen out of him. He was on the deck place until his
feet was bleeding.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Who does that?
Sock bleeding through his socks.
Feet was bleeding, man. So he was kind of one of those guys that wanted to make sure the mission was complete.
What he asked for? What he asked for the make? What he asked?
Yeah, he asked for his
like
shoes.
James Brown. He's like, "Can you go get my Warrich jacket?"
Actually, he asked for a couple things that movie, didn't he, man?
He put the jacket on his shoulder like he was James Brown.
Yeah. Tom Hanks he was and then from the start of the movie, like these sailors on here, and then we talk about this because we sailors, so we kind of look at it from a different lens, but they are in war, and the way they was acting on the bridge and on the ship was like not like war type stuff. Like they was like, people got jobs to do out there.
Yeah.
So the way it was persuaded, and the captain got to say this, and these guys got to say, we already know what we need to do. Right? Yeah. Don't nobody have to tell us 24/7 what we should be saying and what we should be doing. We already know this stuff. We've been practicing it forever. So I kind of saw the bridge more in like him being more of like running all over the place, and then everybody else is waiting on him to say something for them to do something.
Yeah.
Kind of what I saw in there. I love the love interest in the beginning of the movie. They kind of showed a different touch from a war movie, because this movie is all about them being out to sea and at war. But in the beginning of the movie, they had a little love interest for him.
Yeah, and that was it.
You know, that was it though. And at the end, they showed her again, but it wasn't part of anything.
Like it didn't.
Yeah, it didn't end it. It didn't. She at the end.
It wasn't like a part of the journey for us.
Nothing. Nothing. Like at the end of the movie, she didn't like. Was with him on the pier, waiting on him on the pier or something. You know, like why are you even in the movie? Why you even show this part of the movie? So the other thing about it is, if you're not a
bridge
like war, a bridge watchstander or watch movie, the movie was only took place on the bridge.
Oh, the bridge, yeah.
That was it. So I watched the bridge the whole entire movie. So if you don't know anything about that stuff, you may be lost in this movie.
Yeah, I was talking to my captain about it. I was like, it might be a cool movie for a captain to watch.
Yeah, and then on top of that, like the movie didn't take us on a journey.
Nah, it's just one thing, man.
It didn't take me on no type of journey. And
what part hit you the hardest? Any parts hit you hard? Don't say when the chef died.
Yeah, man. That was the part. Come on, man. Why we going to kill the you had like, first off, you had like 2 black people in the whole movie, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 2. And then you kill one of them, right? But no, it was a cool movie, man. It came from like a cool little part. He was actually part of the fire party, right? So he went down on the fire party and he died on the fire party, man. So
which is not funny.
Well, no, actually, he didn't die on the fire party. He died when he went to general quarters.
He went to GQ, yeah.
Yeah, so he was part. I think he armed up. He was on a gun, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah,
and actually he got hit.
He was trying to give Tom Hanks some food, wasn't he?
Yeah, man. He was trying to feed the captain the whole time. He actually like was going out of his way to make sure the captain
making meals
ate, because he didn't do anything. The captain stayed on the bridge and didn't eat, didn't do anything the whole time. So he was trying to make sure the captain was fed. He felt a certain type of way about it, though. You could tell he felt the fact of Cleveland. That was the character name.
Cleveland.
Like Cleveland. He felt a certain way. Even the next guy that came up to feed him, he called him his name. Yeah, he called him. Actually, called him.
It's crazy though, because he had to keep going. You know,
yeah, he had to keep
going. Cleveland died. Like, we got to keep going. Let's bury him out to sea, and let's keep going, because they had subs. It was like subs after them, right?
Yeah, and that was another thing I never saw either, though, man. I think, hey, you gonna take the bodies back to shore? No, man, they threw those bodies over
Cleveland
the sides,
ass right in the water, man.
Yeah, man, kind of like shook him a little bit, got him out of there. Yeah, man.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, shake a little bit. Got him. He kind of was stuck a little bit, man. They made sure.
It was like dramatic.
Yeah, man. They made sure Cleveland got out of there. Got out there, man. It was kind of crazy, man. But yeah, I just, my only biggest thing, man, is like, if you watching this movie for the first time, you don't know anything about the bridge, anything about watch standing, you may be a little lost in this movie. But and then right in the beginning, the storyline from what it was like, it was World War II, man. I was like I had to research a little bit, you know, with the U-boat. I guess they was escorting some, you know, merchant ships or oilers or whatever to make sure, you know, we was doing what we had to do.
That U-boat was taking those merchant ships down, man. Hey, so I'm gonna give this film the coveted 1 star, right? I'm gonna give it the coveted 1 star, right? For a couple reasons. The special effects were on par with the USS Indianapolis movie with Nicolas Cage, and that's a movie that we'll never ever review. Don't worry about it, right? But just the special effects were like really, really, really real trash. Like it looked like somebody could have done this in an iPhone. I could tell when it was a digital shot. I could tell kind of some stuff moving a little slower. But I saw it on iPhone too, so maybe if I saw it on a bigger screen, it might look different to me. But just from watching on an iPhone, I could see where the special effects could have been better. It didn't feel real at all.
Yeah.
Another aspect of it was the 2 parts that you said. The love interest didn't really have to, the movie didn't have to start there. It didn't really matter at all, right? It was no real backstory, no reason to be engaged with any other characters except Cleveland, right? And that was only because the guy that played Cleveland did well at making you kind of care about him just a little bit. Like, he got
because
that
of the food. He kept trying to give him food.
The captain never ate. Tom Hanks was pretty cold in here. It was different from any other movie I see Tom Hanks play, where it's something else that he pulls out of the character. And this one, he just was a captain. Like, he never went back to the love interest. Like, he just was a captain. He asked to get the cloak. He asked him to put the cloak on him a couple times, and I guess he had to put his slippers on or something like that.
Slippers, yep.
You know, because his feet was bleeding. He was a man. I tell you that. Like, he was a man. He wasn't going, you know, really go down without a fight or whatever like that. And that was motivating, but it just was a bad movie. It took place in one scene, kind of like the movie Fences, but I liked Fences. It was performance driven. It had some background to it and stuff like that. But this one was a war movie that really only took place in one scene. We didn't get to see too much of the enemy. And a lot of war movies now, they do kind of show the aspect of the enemy. I mean, yes, you know, they're in a sub. I could tell that the budget was limited.
Yeah. I
could tell the budget was limited again. And like I said, the first thing I said was we saw Tom Hanks doing a favor for Apple TV.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they were going to leverage his star power for, you know, just for some streams. Yeah. And Apple TV's content is cool. I like a lot of stuff they do. But I think if you get Tom Hanks, you know, and it looked like they could only afford Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
And the other dude, Cleveland, I think he played in like some Netflix, a bunch of Netflix movies.
Yeah.
But it looked like they could only really afford Tom Hanks and nothing else. No budget, nothing. And if you're going to do that, you know, do something a little better. You know what I'm saying? So again, that coveted, you know, 1 out of 100. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100. Oh my!
I gotta go over the 5. This is like a 1 out of 100. Nah, 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5.
There's another little part of the funny part of the movie too, man, where the enemy was coming over the loudspeaker, man. That was pretty funny too, man. Like, the enemy was talking to him like on a couple different occasions.
Yeah,
like, telling him how he was going to get him, and they was howling like it was crazy, man.
Yeah, man. Bunch of young officers and Tom Hanks on a pilot house. But again, I stood watching that space a couple times, and the lingo. I watched that like right after I stood watching there. So the lingo and the way that they were talking, it resonated with, you know, what I heard when I was up in there. Yeah. And I feel like if somebody was up in there, because even as an engineer, some of that talk I don't get, you know what I'm saying? Some of that stuff. But I feel like a captain or somebody would totally understand and maybe be more like in suspense. Yeah. I wasn't as in suspense because some of that like language I don't understand.
Yeah, me either, man. So,
but yeah, so that's a 1 out of 5, and I'm gonna just go ahead and take you down to 2 out of 5. So, you know, right there, our movie score average is a 1.5 out of 5. So there you go, Apple and Tom Hanks, man. Don't do it again.
Please.
Hey, so that's it. Thank you guys again. Another episode of Permission to Speak Freely. I'm Damo.
And I'm Damon.
See you guys next week.
Pay attention.